When your timeline reaches its Armageddon, what's a kid to do?
I'm not a...
Snag the keys to your mom's experimental ship, of course.
That's not quite how it happened.
Drift aimlessly in the rift between dimensions, trying to figure out how to operate it.
Now hold on a sec.
Pick up a few hitchhikers.
Hi!
Hello.
And maybe solve a disturbing mystery that could lead to the destruction of reality itself.
You know, if there's time...
There's always time.
I'm not so sure about that.
Get in on the adventure with the Rift Riders on Indiegogo.
Welcome to Hybrids, the Sons of Gods. The epic remaster of the original Trash Day arc is now being collected in a standard trade paperback. With more story, more art, and behind-the-scenes information, this book is the way creator Luke Stone intended the story to be told. This special Arrow Comics Remastered edition is full of energy and excitement. Critically acclaimed and one of independent comics' favourite teen books, you are sure to find yourself lost in this expansive universe. So, secure your copy today in this crowd-funded group buy. Once the funds are collected, the books will be sent off to print and delivered post-haste. Luke and the Arrow Comics team have a perfect record of fulfillment. You can pledge with confidence.
Welcome.
Morning.
Welcome to another episode of Nerd Bacon. Episode 30 something.
Yeah, we're cranking them out.
We are cranking them out like McDonald's.
Yes, that's exactly the metaphor I was thinking. I've made a lot of breakfast bacon in McDonald's. What?
Better quality, I hope.
Oh, well, yeah.
Slightly, just maybe. I don't know. It depends on the day.
I'd never know because I've never eaten one.
You've never eaten a Oh my
I've
gosh!
Never eaten a McDonald's. I've never even been into one of their establishments.
Oh well, I can't say the same.
If you haven't, you're not missing anything, because a lot of what McDonald's trucks on is the nostalgia of having gone there in your youth. and
Right.
then just being fast, mass-produced food. So,
Right. When did this start?
McDonald's, a proud sponsor, by the way.
yeah.
No.
McDonald's
McDonald's food is crap. But you know what? Their breakfast is pretty
when was
delicious.
McDonald's first around? 50s?
I used to know this.
Late
time ago.
50s, I think.
Yeah,
It
late
started
50s.
out as one restaurant in Southern California, if I'm not mistaken.
Right.
Yeah.
It took over the world.
Took
Basically.
over the world.
Well, actually, the guys that
Wow.
started it sold out to Ray Kroc, and Ray Kroc took it worldwide.
Yeah,
Ray
because Ray
Kroc.
Kroc is
K-R-O-K, K-R-O-C, Kroc.
Yeah.
yeah.
Everyone knows that the McDonald's spread was part of the alien agenda to just fatten us up.
Yes.
There's
It's
a great,
working.
Let's just go right for it, guys. Let's just start shoveling.
And it's working. Yeah, let's just
there's a great movie on Netflix about the McDonald's story and Ray Kroc. Ray Kroc's played by oh
Jack
god,
Black.
I just blanked on his name. No. The guy who played Beetlejuice.
Oh,
yeah.
Batman.
Michael Keaton. Michael
Batman.
Keaton.
Batman, yeah.
Batman.
So so here's the deal. Hearing a great thing on Netflix, that phrase in and of itself sounds odd.
I hear you. Yeah.
Yeah, that's just unusual.
Well, they didn't create it.
Was
They
an
just-
interesting movie. Yeah.
They just stream it.
They stream
you
it,
know.
yeah.
I couldn't even tell you the name. I had an oddball name, I don't know what it was called, but I had 2 hours. I just sat and watched it.
I don't know if you guys noticed, but I got a little different camera angle going on.
I noticed a little
Well,
higher, little.
Here's the problem. I normally have my camera sitting on the back of my clamshell, my laptop. But I'll get typing, and then I have people like, "Oh, Luke's making me seasick," and I'm like, "Okay, I understand. I'm understanding that's happening." So I moved my camera up to where my light's at. So
So now
it's like this
you're
weird
not
angle.
used to looking in the right place.
Yeah. So I'm like, yeah, it's weird. So
You're
that's a
making
little
us
weird,
seasick by keep moving your head.
right? But now you can actually see where the magic happens.
Oh, right.
By magic, I mean cheap card tricks. Yeah. Hey guys, look at this.
That went to see the name of the chip. Oh, sorry. Anyway,
Exactly.
yes, we're all.
We see how you do it, Luke. Surprised. Yeah.
You got to add the whistle, or if it doesn't work. Speaking of hands,
Yeah.
I only caught a glimmer of it because it was I'm having problems and I'm waiting to get my glove set up. But I saw a bit of Randy's hand tutorial. He at least did a hand tutorial last night. I don't know what else he did. And that looked really good. I'm like, oh, I want to watch this. But it's midnight and I have to be up for this. So no, so I will be catching it in the rerun.
Luckily, it's archived over on the Indie Comics Network, so it wasn't
Comics
live.
Network,
It was a video,
Oh,
So-
good.
and it's only like 15 minutes, but it breaks down cartoon hands real easy.
Well, that's one of the things that a lot of artists are struggling with,
Yeah,
And
yeah.
Even when you've been doing it a long time, I like to go back to basic, almost bonehead exercises
Mhm.
and work my way back through them every so often, because I always find I get something new from it.
I always start
Let's
back at
just
zero
right
every
down
couple
that alley.
years.
Yeah.
Yeah, I always start
Very
back at zero
bonehead.
every couple of years. I'm actually thinking about doing one of those like online art schools, for two reasons. Number one, so maybe I can learn some things that I don't already know, and number two, just so that I can really feel confident about myself.
No,
it's like
that's
it's like a guitar player like sneaking into the beginner's guitar class. Be like,
right. Well,
yeah, how many chords you know? I know all of
I'm
them.
sorry. You're talking about attending one of those.
Like taking a class, yeah, like taking
Yeah.
a class.
Okay.
Not giving a class, but
I was
learning.
confused. I thought you were setting up a Skillshare.
no, I'm
or-
thinking about learning some more.
That's both. Honestly, both of those options are wonderful.
Well, I'm telling you,
Because-
if you're not learning, if you're not
dying.
still learning, I don't know about that, but you're getting dumber.
Oh yeah.
I mean, think about it. I mean, if you think you know it all, then let's just put this: you don't know it all. You don't know at all.
I got a guy I'm probably going to film a segment of Comics by Night with, who started out drawing comics and then quickly became a teacher, teaching how to draw comics. And he's got a couple of professional platforms. He's doing very well with it.
Nice.
Good.
Very nice.
So he's even got an instructional book that's in my book poop here. Learn to draw action heroes
Ooh, learn to draw action heroes.
by Impact.
What do you guys say we go to our?
Is that Christopher Hart?
No, it's Robert Marzullo.
Oh, okay.
What do you guys say we go to our
Batman,
chat? See
right?
who's in the chat today.
Okay. Well,
We got Frog G. Frog G was number 1 today. Frog G, you're number 1.
not only is he number 1 with the appropriate finger, his campaign is doing great.
I was gonna say that. You read my mind. I was like, some guy in traffic called me number 1 yesterday.
I bet he did.
Yeah, he kept saying, "You're number 1. You're number 1." Yeah, that's what he kept saying.
I
to me.
prefer people to wave with their whole hand, but
Yeah, I felt. I mean, I just felt like a winner yesterday.
Anymore, though, when you're driving, it's much more psychologically damaging to give them a thumbs down.
Sometimes I go.
If somebody's driving the way that you don't like, just thumb them down. Don't flip them off. Just
Sometimes
thumb
I'll just roll down my window, look at him, and go. They're like, "What is that?" I'm like, "I don't know."
well, see, that's very close to a gesture that probably Glenn and I share from Glenn's case culturally, mine from being appropriation, watching way too much British programming as a young child. I thought the appropriate thing to do was to give a 2-finger salute followed by a raspberry when somebody really needed it. But
It's a variation of different cultural things that is.
Well, I was coming off the motorway exit once, and how can I put this? I'm going down the motorway, or the freeway as you call it, and I'm approaching my exit. Sorry, I'm approaching an on ramp.
yeah,
Right, and my exit is right after the on. So I got over to come off, and I could see this car coming up. And I really now I could have gone wide like you're supposed to do, but I would have missed my exit.
right.
So I stayed where I was. Now it's up to him to stop, isn't it? Because the dotted lines give you a clue, don't they? Now I know we all like to just drive on, and mainly we do. But I thought, well, I'm not going to miss my exit just so he can get on. So he had to really slow down because he was really going for it, and he came round me and was gesturing just as I was going off the exit. So I just went like that.
That works too.
And he went absolutely
Doing bonkers,
crazy.
didn't he?
I could see him just as I'm going down. I can see him carrying on. And I'm not going to do what I did to his girlfriend, who turned and she gave me shit as well. I'm not going to do what I did to her.
So I used to do this to people. They go, "What is that?" I go, "That's the feather, because you don't deserve the whole bird." Just giving you the feather. Just gonna give you the feather.
Anyway, it's good comic
Freak.
talk, isn't it?
Great
Oh,
comic.
no, well, and that's the thing. This is nerd talk, and having different
Yes.
ways to tell people off.
Different ways to
I'll
tell
do
people
the
they're
opposite
number 1.
the vast majority of the time when somebody's like yelling at me, I'll give them.
You know how when
I don't know
you know
what to do with that.
you know when you can manage to cheese the police off or anything like that, people always like that, right? If you can get one over the policeman. Many years ago, I was driving around, I went to watch Queen in concert, and it was at this place called Main Road, which is a football ground. It's not there now, but it's a football ground. So there's lots of houses around it. So there's lots of people live in these houses, and there's no room to park, especially when there's a concert, because every spare space it goes for the people who are coming in, and the people must be really pissed off about it. Anyway, so I'm driving around trying to find a space, and I eventually found one, and it was right on the end of the street. And this policeman appears. He says, "You can't park there, mate." I said, "Why not?" I said, "I've been driving around for half an hour. What's stopping me?" He says, "Well, you can, but I'd rather you didn't, because this bus needs to get out, and it couldn't get out, you see, and turn." I said, "What am I going to do?" He said, "I don't know, but you're going to have to move it." So I looked past him, and right near the doors and the entrance of the football ground were all these cars. Well, about 10 cars, 10 spaces after towards the door was full of cones stopping people parking there. Are you with me? So I said to this copper, "Right, I'll move, but I'm going to take up 2 of those cones and put my car in the space. So he said, okay. So he disappeared. So I drove off, got out of the car, moved these cones, and these people are driving past, and they're all going, yeah, yeah, because I'm beating the car, and they can see this cop around the corner, and they're going, there's a copper there, there's a copper there. That was it. It was funny.
It's like, yeah, I know, I got permission.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, it's not as fun when you got permission.
Done that a lot and just done it.
Yeah. We got Marv here today as well. Marv said later on.
Marv.
He is at work. Marv V. He is he is hanging out with us today. Good to have you here this morning. We got Pedro Wang. Pedro Wang, hey, I smell something cooking. Yeah, do you smell what The Rock is cooking? You know, that was really weird. He did a lot of weird stuff. It's so odd that he got famous for that.
It's a fart joke. We all know.
Yeah, it was a fart joke. But yeah, Pedro's here today. Welcome, Facebook user Bacon in the Morning. Yes, it is. Bacon in the morning, bacon in the evening, bacon at summertime.
Just bacon.
Sugar Chris. Good morning, Chris. Good to have you here. Atrocity Press is with us this morning. What up?
What up, Max? Hope you're doing
normal
well.
stuff. You know, normal stuff is up. Not smart decision on Glenn's part.
Most of Glenn's decisions tend to be smart. It's
Talking about the McDonald's thing, yeah, you're missing out on the nasty food.
Yeah.
Yep, that happens. Bill Burr said McDonald's is for drunkards and for children. That's...
But that is a demographic. I mean...
That's very true.
That clearly is a demographic, yes.
It's like Wendy's at 3 a.m. exists at a reason, folks.
Mm-hmm. Welcome, Jackal PSN. Nice to have you here today. One of our first commenters from Twitch. We are streaming, multicasting to Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, and Twitter. And one of our first comments from Twitch that is not a bot. Or maybe they are.
Maybe they are.
We'll find out soon enough, won't we?
Quick, someone send a CAPTCHA to Jackal PSN, you know. Find all the stuff.
Are you real? Sometimes you got to go for fast food. Not everyone has access to that. Not fresh fish like you, Pedro. Yeah, so the back and forth already in the chats. It's looking good. We're having a good time already. Who else do we got here with us today? That's about it. We got a few more people watching that are not commenting. Please take a moment to like and share, hit the algorithms. Share this out to your friends. Have them come join you. It's always fun to have a lot of people hanging out with us, and the more the merrier. We are certainly going to talk about crazy things today. We're also going to talk about useful things today. So there is a number of tools that artists use, and so we're going to talk about some of the most useful tools that we have found over the years, from traditional tools all the way up to digital tools, from art to prepress to all of that good stuff. Ways to get your work out there. We're going to talk about several of these things today, and in between, we'll talk about a bunch of other stuff too, because that's how it works here at Nerd Bacon. Also, don't forget to check out, maybe consider being a channel member. As you see, there's a few people with a nice special little icon. Those are channel members. You can be a channel member too, for the low price of, I can't remember, but you can be a channel member for that low price and get extra content and special content just for you. So check that out, and don't forget about Nerd 10, our discount for Gemini mailers. So I think I've done all the housekeeping I needed to for now. Okay. If I've forgotten something, you guys can remind me. Luke, you forgot about that one thing. And then we'll talk about it later, because what the heck.
StreamYard does need a special buy-in tier where you can subscribe to the monthly and you get the green room.
Ooh.
Yeah.
On and off, the on-ramp and the off-ramp, so to speak, for the show.
I don't know. Some of our green room, for lack of a better word, conversations get.
There is a way to do that.
Well, it would be something that you wouldn't want anybody to record, and you'd warn everybody up front. Yeah, this isn't your normal.
Enter at your own risk.
This could be rougher, and yeah.
It's if you like the spicy bacon episodes.
Spicy bacon.
It might be a little too hot for you. I mean, we're talking, we might normally when we go spicy, it's a little like habanero. Sometimes backroom spicy is more like ghost pepper.
Yeah.
It's more like ghost pepper, yeah. So it gets a little crazy back there. But now, that's perking everyone's ears. And so, yeah, maybe we'll create a special Patreon.
Well, I tell you what, if you're
special...
interested in something like that, what you need to do is consider becoming a subscriber, because we listen to the subscribers more than we listen to everybody else because they've paid for the service. Or just super chat that you think that's a great idea and put some money where your mouth is, and then we'll try to make Luke make it happen.
We'll make it happen. Yeah, I'll do whatever you guys want.
I'm great at
I'll
paying
do what you guys
my
want.
partner back with you know what? Here, let me help voluntold you to do something.
Yep. He does it all the time. He voluntold me. That's why we have digital on the website now. He goes, put the digital up on the website. I'm like, what? He said, put the digital up on the website. I'm like, okay, I'll do that. Speaking of which, the remasters are almost completely done. And so we're going to be going off to print for the trade. And we're also printing the floppies. And so I'm going to have the floppies available on the website probably by next week. Sweet. I'm going to have those up so that people can start ordering those. And here's one of the new prints. I got this. It looks very similar to the old prints, but the difference is you can see this one stands up on its own, and this one falls over on its own. So we're trying to go with a little more premium.
Don't do it, Nick. Don't do it. I see where you're going.
Just need to stiff that up a bit.
That's what she said.
Anyway,
suppression.
Here we are.
Save that for spicy bacon.
I had somebody unfriend me. I think it's been a few months now. They unfriended me because they heard me say something while talking with my friends, and they felt like it was a dirty joke. And they was like, I felt it was inappropriate, so I unfriended you. But they messaged me to let me know that. If you guys unfriend me, I don't need to know.
You probably wouldn't know, would you?
I wouldn't know, and I don't lose a lot of sleep over it, to be honest with you. I just don't. Anyway, I'm just holding this comic book up like it's. I'll just do that the whole episode. Just the whole episode. I'll just be holding the book up.
Let's all grab our books and hold them up. We can do that.
Hold on, here we go.
This is what I have handy. My Amazon shipment is late. One of these things is not like the other.
Dig through my book poop here.
So anyway,
oh, here we go.
I got a Hero About Zero up there. Here we go. Yeah, there we go.
I love the idea of a 3-foot tall giant robot. I mean, that's just
a lot of fun. We haven't even begun to scratch his universe either, so it'll be fun.
That's what she said.
That's what she said.
Oh my gosh. So anyway, they unfriended me, right? So they unfriended me, and they let me know, and then they sent they tried to refriend me, and I have a tendency not to accept those.
Sick and twisted.
So
sounds good.
I had a friend of mine who was could arguably have been called my best friend, who said some disparaging things, said that making comic books, God wasn't happy with me making comic books. That's why everything is happening to me this last year. And and then he unfriended me, and then he tried to friend me again, and he's.
Isn't that a little bit crude? That was a little rough.
Yeah, it was pretty bad. It was pretty bad.
Oh.
I had a young lady when I first came on Facebook who was, when you first go on and you sort of friending anybody who asks you to be a friend, because you don't know what you're doing.
Right. Yeah.
Well, I got this friend request from somebody in California or somewhere. It said, so I clicked on it, and I was then hit with a message saying I'd been friended. I'd been on Facebook about a week, probably twice for 2 minutes, and she said, I think I'm really falling in love with you. I'd like to send you some photographs. So I quickly learned how to block people, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I'm not one of those since. I've had a few requests for, linking up, but I don't.
They call that catfishing.
Catfishing, right?
Yeah, people try to catfish me too, but I don't. Here's the deal. I
don't really see the point of it.
I'm not interested in any other women but my wife, right?
Exactly.
And that's the thing. That's what they don't understand, you know. So there was this young gal that was on there that was talking about how her husband died. She friended me because she was friends with my sister, right? And so she was friends with that. We had mutual friends, and the mutual friends were family. So I was like, well, maybe it's some family I don't know about or whatever, you know. So she starts talking like, hey, you know, I know you're a pastor. You know, I lost, you know, my husband and stuff like that. So she was wanting financial help, which I get all the time, you know, especially with being at the church. But mostly it's these people from foreign countries. They're like, hey, pour money into my ministry. And I'm like, hey guys, you don't realize our church is struggling. You need to pour money into my ministry. You know, I said, I don't have money to give you. How about you give some money to me? I said, you look like you're doing better off than our church is, you know. And yeah, people would like they would quickly like leave me alone after that. But yeah, so then I realized I was like, so I contacted my sister and I said, hey, your friend, you know, she's seems to be having a lot of trouble. Because she's not my friend. I don't know who you're talking about. And I was like, this person? Like, no, she's not. No, I've never met her. She just friended me on Facebook and started talking to me. I'm like, oh, okay. She talks like you guys knew each other for a long time. And she's like, no. So I quickly realized, because some of the conversation started, she tried to get a little spicy with it.
Intimate, yeah.
Yeah, and I'm like, no, I don't, because I put up those guardrails. I have these like certain rules. There's certain phrases and certain words I don't use with other women that aren't my wife. So I just, you know, block it up. And I'm like, oh, what was that guy's name? Dennis Rodman. When it comes to blocking shots, I'm like, no, don't think so. Yeah.
I got a request from another lady a few months ago, and it's one of those. Sometimes you sort of play with it, don't you? And it says you get on your message. It says hi. So I asked us to put hi, and they go straight to it. They're great because they go straight to it. And she said, oh well, the person said, where do you live? So I put Islamabad, Pakistan. I've not heard from them since. So.
Yeah.
So, you know,
I like to say
what I usually do when I say to them, where do you live? And let's say they say, I don't know, you know, Bethlehem, Indiana or somewhere. I'll say, I'll go to the Google Maps and find the nearest town to that and tell them I live in that.
Smart. That scares them off.
I'm 20 miles from you. Oh,
let's get together for coffee.
Yeah.
It's a short drive. Yeah.
Yeah. That freaks him out. But yeah, so yeah, let's try not to get catfished today, guys. Let's do our best to
be careful.
Keep your heads about yourself.
Yeah.
And, there are some crazy bots on Twitter following people now. I don't know if you noticed this, but like for Twitter to say there's no bots, I mean, I mean, come on. I mean,
is that why Musk has pulled out the deal because three quarters of subscribers are bots? Is that why?
Well, they became very uncooperative with him when he started mentioning how many of your accounts are false.
Yeah, they're like, oh no, these are all real accounts.
Yeah,
and he's like, these aren't real accounts. I mean, clearly there's bots. He goes, I know there's bots. Everybody knows there's bots. How many of them are bots, and how many are? Because they had said this is how many users they have, which is misleading the shareholders. Mm-hmm. You know, right. So I mean, let's say, you know, I can say this. I can say, look, I've got. Well, let's use my channel right now as for instance, I've got 4,500 subscribers. Right now, I hired a promoter to help me get into the algorithms to be able to grow organically. You know, now in that process of growing organically, I guarantee we picked up some bots, 1,000%. I know some of those subs are bots, and here's how I really know some of the subs are bots, because we get porn comments all the time in our chats. There's always somebody coming in. These are bots. These aren't real people. These are bots, right? So there's 1,000% chance that we've picked up bots, and but it looks like I've got, you know, honestly, yeah, I've got 4,500 subscribers, but in the end, I've only got a couple thousand people that actually watch my videos. On some of the videos, some of the more older videos picked up a lot of viewers. Some of the newer videos, not so much, you know? So it's like all a matter of staying in their, kind of in their peripheral. And I haven't done a very good job of that. But, you know, just because you've got subs doesn't mean you've got engagement, right? And that's the problem with that platform. The shareholders think that you've got this many users, which can be affected by advertising. So, you know, those many users, you pay for higher advertising and all this other stuff. So you get all those things. But it misleads the shareholders. And as a guy that's getting ready to buy the company, he wants to know where the company really stands. Yeah. And so, you know, this whole thing, that's what sparked it off. You know, is that you know, they didn't want to be cooperative because, truthfully, they don't want anyone to know just how many fake accounts they are. And they don't want to know where the fake accounts are coming from. They don't want anyone to know that. Because quite honestly, a lot of this outrage over stuff that you see in the media, like this, like these racists that come out to, you know, to bash on, you know, people of color that are in these shows and stuff, they claim racism, but they don't really ever show like proof of that. Like they don't ever show any receipts. They say, oh, they're getting death threats or they're getting threats. Well, we got to see receipts because we know now people lie. Juicy Smollett, I know I said his name wrong. I did it on purpose. Juicy Smollett just proved that people lie. You know, people make stuff up all the time just for political gain or, you know, for clout. And so now it's like, now you got to like, hey, prove it. You got to prove it, but they can't prove it because I don't think there's any receipts there. But the problem is a lot of these bot accounts, a lot of these accounts that are doing it are usually people that nobody knows because they're bots, they're fake accounts.
Well, there's also a big push right now in marketing for reverse marketing, where they'll go up and they'll create a bunch of fake Twitter accounts and they'll complain about something in order to raise publicity for a specific thing or cause.
Yeah, and it's called fan baiting is what they call that now.
Fan baiting. Yep, and they do it on purpose in order to raise people's blood pressure, and they think it's a great thing because it pulls attention to their product.
Yeah.
Do you think Musk might have done it on purpose to expose it?
I do. I actually think.
Well, conservatively, they figure a third of everything on Twitter is a bot.
Wow.
33.3%. And that's a conservative number. Some accounts they figure have more. Like I remember reading somewhere they figure everybody that's subscribed to Joe Biden's Twitter, about 85% of those are bots.
Yeah. Sugar Chris says Twitter seems to be mostly bots and alt accounts. I think that's kind of true. I mean, I've got 2 alt accounts for trolling. I'm joking. I don't use them. I have
use them all the time.
I do have two bot accounts, not bot accounts, 2 alt accounts.
2 bot accounts.
Yes. Well, I created, you created an account that you don't use anymore, and you try to focus on, one part of branding at a time. And so, I think a lot of people do have, and I think some people have multiple alt accounts. And I know they do because, and I know they do because, I've got people that, whenever I see an account that doesn't have a profile picture, I had some people come at me on Twitter a while back, and I said, look, I'm not taking crap from an alt. Put your name up there, put your face up there, and let's have a conversation. You're hiding behind an alt. Your anonymity. Come talk to me like a person. And then when you start treating me like a person, I'll treat you like a person. But until then, you're just a piece of garbage, okay? And I say real things now. I don't sugarcoat stuff. And
all you have to do is die once or twice, and suddenly that
suddenly you just don't
goes away.
Care. Yeah. You only live twice.
The older you get, the more you just don't care anyway. So
it's something about almost taking your last breath. Just changes the way you perceive that. So they kept going back and forth, didn't want to say anything real, so they wound up getting the block. Man, I tell you, I block people like crazy. I don't even care. And here's the deal. You don't get blocked unless you're a jerk, right? And someone's like, well, I don't know why Luke blocked you. You're a good person. And I could see that comment, and I'm like, look, if I blocked them, they're not a good person. There's a reason why they got a block. They earn their
A
block.
good person, they're just misbehaving and they're acting like a child.
Well, does a good person do that?
I have a lot of people who I completely disagree with.
If you're
I'll hear their opinion, if only to prevent myself from being in an echo chamber.
Yeah.
And we have to do that because the worst echo chamber is if you start believing your own BS, you're in trouble. So, I consider that, but I do demand civility and the ability to handle, a discussion, even a disagreement, even if it's passionate. And if you resort to name calling or shadiness like that, or you're being excessively vulgar. And my dad sailed with the 7th Fleet. When I say excessively vulgar, it takes a lot,
Oh, where do you go, Hojo? Holy crap!
Hojo's getting 5 to 10 Sexbot followers a day. I don't get that many. Here's the thing. I don't get many Sexbot followers. I am picking up followers though, and it's always weird when someone comes around to follow my accounts, because I'm like, what are you up to? Like, why do you want to follow what I'm doing? Because I'm gonna say some stuff that's probably gonna upset you. And but I will check someone's accounts first. I'll look through them to make sure they're real when they start following me, or if they send a friend request. Now, I get a lot of friend requests on Facebook, and I check who our mutuals are.
Yeah. I
see what kind of stuff they're. Man, if they're all like hard liberal posting stuff like Joe Biden's the greatest and Tim Allen sucks, if they're like doing all that, if they're all getting butthurt about a couple jokes, then I'm like, I'm you don't want to really see what I've got going on here, because I think everybody sucks.
For me, they have to be arrogantly ignorant.
Yeah.
They have to be spouting the company line that the information is out there. If you were just to have just a small amount of self-thought, to be able to think for yourself, you'd realize what you're saying is just bullshit. So, sorry, it was just BS.
No, and refinement. If we were going back to the tools we were talking about last week, having the critical assessment, critical thinking to look at and vet the people you deal with is an incredible tool for keeping your online health, because we have to do that. And I have to go back through because my friends will change their names on Facebook because a lot of them are they're teachers. So periodically, a lot of teachers will every few months change their name on Facebook. So I have to figure out, are you someone? I don't understand that, yeah. And I have found that Facebook has friended me to people without me doing it.
Yeah. So I use my real name.
Yes. Wow.
Obviously, this is my real name. I don't hide behind a pseudonym or anything. Thanks, Joe. Yeah. Star-crossed shirt there. But yeah, no, I have a tendency to be a little more cautious around people that aren't using their real name. Now, not everybody. I understand some people. I get it, but they're still real. And as long as they kind of prove that, I have to get to know them a little bit. But especially if people want to come at me, if they want to fight, and they've got like some weird like king poop or something like that. I'm like, guess what? I'm probably not going to engage with you too much. But let's welcome Carrie today. Carrie, welcome to Nerd Bacon. Thanks so much for joining us. Feel free to engage in the conversation. We do our best to keep up with the chat, but if we're really getting into a nice hot take and you would like your comment to be seen, please consider dropping a super chat. Even a couple bucks will make sure that gets sifted right up to the top so that we see it for certain. Okay? And sit back, have a good time, enjoy yourself today.
So Luke, in an attempt to pull us off of Twitter bashing, because frankly, it's a really comfortable place to live.
It is, but here, I kind of see where you're going with this, right? Tools. What are your go-to tools? Because a lot of people will come to me and ask, where should I get started? And they ask me because they know I'm broke, Joe. So I'm not using like the high-end Copic markers and stuff, because a lot of times
when people online present good. Good drawing glove is great. But,
yeah, so the drawing glove is from Yuion. They make the one with the, so it's cool. I just liked it, so I got. It's on Amazon. It's $10.
Awesome, but
all right. So okay.
So I was thinking we would start with like you're just starting out. What kind of tools do you go for first?
All right,
and then work our way up the economic ladder.
So are we talking digital tools or are we talking traditional tools?
Both. Because we have both you and Glenn, and you two sit on this. We kind of got into it last week. This lovely end of the spectrum where you're almost strictly digital now.
Yeah, pretty much.
And Glenn is still incredibly old school.
Yeah.
And I live somewhere in the middle, probably a beat or two closer to Glenn right now.
I think Randy's somewhere in the middle now these days too, aren't you?
I'm more digital than physical at the moment, but
right.
that's because the majority of my stuff is commercial.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. All right. So Glenn, let's start with you. If let's say I wanted, I'm a fresh new artist. What are some of the best tools to get into the? I mean, I know this answer, but let's let Glenn answer.
Well, yeah, the answer's obvious. It's just a pencil and a piece of paper.
Mm-hmm.
And a brush if you want to ink, or brushes if you want to colour.
So as far as inking tools go, now this is a question because I have never done traditional inking like with a quill or a brush.
Oh,
I've only used the marker pens that they sell now, that most everybody uses for manga and things like that. That's only been my experience. If I wanted to ink traditionally like they, with like a quill or a brush, like what I do digitally, I use those tools. But is there a particular brand or set of tools that you want to start with?
I think a lot of people do this or did this. You start reading things and you find out that Joe Sinnott inks a lot of work. Say Joe Sinnott, for example. So you immediately, let's say you like his style, like I think we all do. He's one of the best ever.
Yeah.
So there seems to be this tendency to find out what brushes he uses.
Mm-hmm.
So you go to the shop and you hunt down these, and this is pre-internet, right? So you couldn't just order on Amazon or eBay or whatever. You have to go and find these things, and then you'd have to order them. They'd be coming in from all sorts of places, and then you find out what kind of ink he uses and all this kind of thing, and then you realise that there's 10 different inks that are just as good as each other. There are 10 different brushes that are just as good as each other, and then one day you finally realise that it's got nothing to do with what he's using; it's to do with him.
Okay.
Same with Kirby. Everybody says Kirby.
Same with guitar.
Yeah. Everybody. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. Two examples: Jimi Hendrix and Peter Green. Jimi Hendrix and Peter Green, both great guitarists, but with a different, what I would call a different tone, and the tone is them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So in other words, if Jimi Hendrix picked up Peter Green's guitar, he'd sound like Jimi Hendrix.
Always. Yeah.
It's not the guitar, it's not the tool, that's the expression, that's the final point.
Yeah. Yep.
It's like Einstein said, he was talking about intelligence. He said, the only thing greater than intelligence is imagination. And he's right. I mean, Einstein, isn't he? But I think that you have to get, it's good to go through those hurdles of finding out which pencil Jack Kirby used. Jack Kirby used a 2B. For the longest time, I used a 3B, but now I use an HB because I'm confident in my drawing skills that I can get a line down pretty much first or second go for what I want. Doesn't happen all the time. So it doesn't really matter what pencil I use, but I like using this harder pencil because my pencils are very light. I don't do a lot of shading because I'm generally going to be doing the inking, so I know where the shading is going to go. But I think the basic thing that people miss out in any kind of creativity, whether it's music or art or painting and decorating or building a house, it's to do with the imagination. That's the first skill you need. If you can't, like somebody said to me, one of my nephews said to me, "You know how to write books. What shall I write about?" I said, well, I don't know. And he said, how do you write a book? And I said, well, what I do is I read a lot on the subject, research it as far as I can, read everything about it, and then sit down for 3 months and write 85,000 words that make some kind of sense. You know?
All right. So here's the deal. I've got imagination, but I want to build a house. So in order to build a house, do I need a saw? Do I need a hammer? There are some basic tools in order to get started that you are going to need.
Well, that should be self-explanatory, shouldn't it?
Yeah.
If you're going to build a house, you're going to need bricks. So you source bricks that you like. This is what I'm saying. You don't go and get the bricks.
So go out and try.
You don't go out and get the bricks that they built Buckingham Palace with. You go out and get the bricks that they built houses with.
Yeah. Well, here's the deal. I actually like a softer lead when I draw because I'm a very sketchy artist. So I'll like sketch a bunch and then I will tighten it up. But I also love that kneaded eraser. So I always tell people, grab a kneaded eraser. Yeah. The gum erasers are fine, but that kneaded eraser gives you the ability to lighten the lines without taking them off.
Yeah.
Because I like to go real light. I go real loose, and then I take that kneaded eraser and I rub it over there, roll it over. Don't rub it, roll it over. Pull some of that lead off, so then I can start to refine that a bit. Yeah. I use a similar method, only digital. I realized that when I went digital, I started using the same method, only with layers. I would just turn the layers to blue and turn them down. Mm-hmm. Where with traditional, I don't go blue. I'm still with my gray pencil. I just lighten it. So I'm just so I'm using the same process of creating layers with it.
Yeah,
but that way it can come off when I decide to do the inking.
When I'm working, I was going to say it depends on the job you're doing. When I'm doing cartoons and things, I'll use the HB pencil. But when I'm doing portraits of people, I use a 3B to get that softness and that kind of thing. So it depends. It depends on the job in hand.
Yeah.
And
now I know Kirby
but you have to find your way there.
Yeah.
Don't be put off by buying a brush you can't use.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Work your way into it.
Find your way. Yeah.
Here's what I like to say. As far as traditional tools go, if you're using, even if you're trying to ink, buy the markers first. Now, when I ink a sketch cover, I'm not breaking out the India ink and stuff at a convention. It's not convenient for me to do that. I'm on the go. Yeah. So whenever I'm doing traditional, I'm usually not at home. Right. So I don't. When I'm at home, I'm working digital. So I use high quality markers to lay down my inks.
I've worked for 40 years in graphics, in art studios, designing everything. Doing illustration, photography, and copywriting, and all that kind of stuff. So it depends on the job. It's like
Matt, we've seen your writing. We know that's yeah. There's no question of your. So
it depends. It depends on the job.
Everyone has their own method, Max.
Yeah. It depends on the job you want to do, because I don't ink much with a brush these days, because I don't want that what I'll call American look. Yeah. That thick, thin. That's what I call an American look. You understand? Like Frank Giacoya. I'll name all the old guys because I don't know the new guys. Mm-hmm. And the croker will is like in between the brush and a pen, obviously, because you've got that give. So it depends on the job. It depends on on the visual impact you want to make. I'm coming around to what I would call a more European type of drawing, which is rather unusual, seeing as I suppose I'm European. With a thin line or thinner line, a sketchier, grittier line, and then like I do with Hatch and things like that. And I like working like that. I spent 10 years learning or teaching myself how to ink like Joe Sinnott, and I can't. So I woke up one day and realized that I needed to find my place, because Joe Sinnott's in his place.
No, okay, so now let's change gears and go digital for a moment. If you are interested, now there's some people that's all they've ever known or will ever know. Yep. In fact, we've got some really talented artists that are coming up that they just understand that medium so well. Where maybe if you've worked more traditional, like I started traditional, I don't use all of the digital tools the way that some of these artists do, and they get great results from them. And I'm like, I have no idea how they did it. I can't figure it out. But there are, if you want to get started digital, there's a few things. Here's what I did. I actually started out with Photoshop. So obviously, if you're going to be a digital artist, you got to have a computer that will handle it. So most laptops these days can handle some light programming. I started with Photoshop. I've moved to Clip Studio. I think a lot of people actually started doing comics and manga with Clip Studio because that's what it was designed for. And so, there is a couple alternatives that I found. I'm going to share my screen real fast here.
Please do.
So you'll want a piece of software to handle it, to work in. And so here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to actually show you guys some pieces of software that work well for me. Right now I've got up this Affinity. It's affinity.serif.com. So this company is like an Adobe company.
Yeah.
Serif is like Adobe.
I use this.
Right, so they've got Designer, Photo, Publisher, and stuff like that. So their Photo is like Photoshop, basically. It does photo editing, and you can draw and do all those kind of things in it. It is a lot. I mean, I'm telling you, it's a lot like Photoshop. It actually even works in Photoshop files. Raw editing. It's like a blend of Photoshop and Lightroom. So it's kind of got kind of both tools. It is lacking in a couple tools, but it does have a lot there. I like them. I also like their Publisher, which is almost like their InDesign.
Yeah, I use
version.
Publisher when I'm doing the magazines and designing my books now. Yeah,
they work great. So that's their InDesign, and their Designer is like their Adobe Illustrator. So Designer is like Illustrator in that sense. So it has the Illustrator tools, is what that one does. So yeah, very, very useful tool that is a Photoshop alternative that is also available for your iPad. Okay, so that leads me, like, even if you're using
How
Clip
much
Studio,
does that run?
Okay, so Affinity runs, let's just do the photo. If you hit the buy now, it runs $55.
Okay.
If you want it for your iPad, it runs $20. And it's a
When
one-time purchase.
Yeah, when I signed up for Affinity Publishing, it was £50, which is about the same as that.
Yeah.
And that's a one-off, and then it automatically, or at least it sends you the upgrade.
Yeah,
Right.
it automatically upgrades forever, so you don't.
Yeah.
You don't have to keep buying new versions.
Yeah, so it's
That's
brilliant.
it. Yeah,
It's brilliant.
It is brilliant. Clip Studio, which is what I like and a lot of other people like, and I know Joe mentioned Clip Studio in the comments. This works also for a computer or for an iPad or tablet, and I've actually got the version where I can download it on the computer and my tablet, so I can have it on two computers and my tablet, and it's seamless integration. As long
Where do you
as
get that pen from, Luke?
That pen?
The pen to use on Clip Studio Paint. Where do you get that from?
Okay, well, there's a couple things that you can do. Okay, one of the things that you can do to get a if you've got like a Surface, they come with a stylus. iPad, you have to buy the Apple Pencil. But if you're using a computer, you don't necessarily have to use one of those. You can use just a standard drawing tablet. And oh, there's another graphic solution I'll show you in a second. I'm just going to go to Amazon.com though real quick. And I'm going to show you just a couple of things that you can... Oh, that's not the right thing. Amazon. I got this wireless keyboard that I use, and it's not always... I have to wake it up, and sometimes I get typing. And we're going to go drawing tablet. And I'll just show you some of the options that we've got here. So these right here, what you're looking at for about 40, or, and moving up, these are just drawing, I like Yuan. So this is just a what they call a drawing tablet. It's got a drawing surface on it with a few buttons, but you're drawing down here and looking up at the screen. There's a little bit of disconnect, but you can do it, and I did that for a while. Issue 1 of issue 1 and 2 of what was the name of that book? Worst Day Ever was done like that. Was done with this. Issue 1 of Hybrids was done on an iPad. I used an iPad to draw in Photoshop. There was a piece of software that communicated called AstroPad, and it would allow me to use my iPad as a drawing tablet. So as a drawing display, they call them drawing displays. So you can actually start digital with something like this. So it's like $40 to kind of get into it, right? But now the stylus that you see me using and that you saw them using actually is on. Here, we'll do this. We'll do like a drawing display. You got to know the keywords, and so when you learn the keywords, it helps you out a little bit. A drawing display tablet is a monitor. Now this is not standalone, guys. Like, you actually have to have a computer for this to work. Like right now, you can see on my screen. Here, I'll just bring it up here, and I'll just make my screen big for a second. I'll solo me out. Find my cursor. This is a monitor. It's just like any other monitor I would have on my desk, and I've got it set on a swivel arm, just so that I can move it around and use it different ways. You know, so like if I want to stand up, I can draw. If I want to sit down, you know, so I move like that. So this is just a monitor, just like anything else, except for the fact that it has a stylus with it that communicates with it with some software. So that software allows me to move my screen to use, like, instead of a mouse.
Yeah.
It allows this. It's the same as the where's that at now? It's the same as the drawing tablet, only it has the display underneath it. So it's kind of both pieces working together. If you can swing it, I suggest doing this. Uion has this 13-inch one for $260. It's a big investment, right? But here's the reason why I decided to go digital. So I was buying paper, and it was difficult for me to get paper locally that I like to draw on. I like to draw comic pages on Bristol board, and I needed 11 by 17 Bristol board, and I really liked it when it already had the blue lines marked out for the pages. That really helps out. Now you can get those on Amazon now, but I wasn't really doing Amazon at the time. It was, you know, I didn't have a lot of access to that, and there wasn't any place close. The Hobby Lobby didn't have it, and I couldn't find a specialized craft store here in Jacksonville.
You don't have Michael's where you're at?
We had a Michael's, but they just never, they didn't carry a lot of the artist stuff.
Wow.
So there wasn't a lot of like artist tools. Mm-hmm. And so the paper was limited. And every time I would go, the Bristol board with the lines would already be gone. You know?
Gotcha.
And then it was expensive, but
you can never keep it in stock.
They can never keep it in stock, so I was having trouble getting it. But it's also it's expensive. It was getting to be about, you know, 15, 20 bucks a ream for this. You know, you get like 20 pieces in there. And a book is, you know, I was doing 24 pages at the time, or 20, because that's how many pages I had. But if I messed up, I had to start over.
Yeah.
And I didn't know what I was doing. I messed up a lot. I messed up a whole lot. Mm-hmm. So I started figuring out about how much I was spending on markers and inks and pencils and paper and all that. And I figured out, like, okay, well, if I use my iPad, I can use that for work and all this other stuff. The software's this much. And I just figured out I was going to save a whole lot of money practicing and trying to get better if I moved digital and trying to actually make comic books, because I did a lot of erasing. I wasn't that confident. You know, I wasn't to the point that I'm now, or to where Glenn's at now, where he's like, I'm real confident with my lines. I know I can do it in a couple of strokes. I was not there.
Every time.
Yeah, I was not there. Sometimes I'm still not there. You know, especially with inking, I'm like, you know, which with inking, when you screw it up, you're done. I mean, you've got to figure out a way to work it in. Digitally, I've got the undo button. So I started doing that. And so I made the, I took the choice to invest in art. And I started out with just a little bamboo tablet that I got at Best Buy for $100. And I started with that, and that was my digital. I'd been coloring with that for years. And then I started trying to draw and ink with that. But I was still trying to do traditional and then scan it in to make that happen. But I decided that's an extra step, and if I could just eliminate that step, let me try that. And so I started working myself into that. Now I didn't start with the what I've got now, and this isn't where I'm going to end. You know, where I'm going to end, it's going to be I'm going to wind up getting hopefully one day get the 24 version of this, 24-inch version of this. I've got a 20-inch version now, and before I got this, I was using a 15.6-inch XP pen, which Nick has now. Nick has been using now, and it works. It works fine. You know, it works pretty good, and this works pretty good. Eventually, I'd like to get the big Wacom, but don't think like that you got to start there. Wacom's got a big like 32-inch. Don't think that you got to start there. You got to
you don't want too big on that Wacom tablet. That's one thing I found out in my research, is that a lot of people were complaining about the larger tablets as being too big, too bulky. So when I went and got my Wacom Cintiq, I didn't go for the largest model. I went for a couple of sizes down so that it'd be more controllable.
Yeah, and Blue, Teddy, I get a lot of paralysis when it comes to like, oh, I'm gonna mess this up, especially with traditional. Like it takes me so much longer because I feel like I overthink the lines instead of just go with your gut and do it right. So now I'm learning digitally. I've gotten to the point where I have confidence to be able to do it traditionally, and so I don't think I'll ever not do some traditional, but primarily my workflow is digital. But here's the other thing that I want to show you guys. Using, that's for drawing, but we all know that we've got to make our PDFs, right? Getting our work out there. Affinity Publisher. Now, you can pay for the photo for the Adobe, but guys, don't waste your money on that. This works just fine. But there's one other thing. So you'll want something like this to set pages up for print if you're going to do that. But if all you're doing is trying to get your PDF done to send out to people to read, let me show you this. I'm gonna let me I'll stop sharing this screen, and I will show you my. This is my Clip Studio that I've got set up. So here's Clip Studio. If I go over here to File, this is brand new. They just added this. Export multiple pages, PDF format. I can export the entire book that I've been working on over here. So I've got this this book view. If you see this, I'll make it bigger so that you can really see it. This has got all the pages of the book set up in order the way they go.
Oh wow!
Right?
Yeah, that's what I use, that one.
Yeah, wow. So I set up this whole page, the whole book, this way, right? And then when I go over here and I hit File, Export Multiple Pages PDF, it makes a readable PDF for me.
Yeah.
It everything, to puts everything that I need for the customer. You know, now it doesn't give me a print ready version. You know, print, with registration marks and stuff, that's a different story. But quite honestly, when I export the individual pages, my printer, everything's like, I just started working with this new printer, like I said at the top of the show. And he said, look, your files were perfect. They were exactly what I needed. I said, well, yeah, I did all the prepress, the CMYK, all that, right in Clip Studio. I exported the individual pages. He was able to import them into his program for printing. Most printers will use InDesign, but sometimes they use something different. And they just want the files, the TIFF files or PDF file, individual pages of that. Mm-hmm. So it's exported that way. But when I'm ready to load this up and send it out to backers in a digital format, I don't even need Affinity for this now. I don't even need that $50 software. All I need is this piece of software that I'm having a monthly subscription on, right? Now the monthly subscription kind of sucks in long term, but you can get it cheaper if you pay annually or for like a one-time purchase thing. I think you can still do one-time purchase. But it gives me the ability to export.
They just changed where there is a 2.0 coming out, and 1.0 will still be kept for so many years supported.
Okay.
But it will no longer, because I had bought into the 1.0 this summer, actually, when
Yes.
it came up. And they did that. Had I known this was coming, I would have waited. But, that's the way the cookie crumbles.
Yeah. So let me
Now,
tell you another.
I used to use Quark Express,
Oh, I remember that. Yeah.
Oh
and then you used to import from Photoshop your photographs, and then you bring in your vectors from Illustrator, whatever you were doing, and then for the longest time, and then that was on computers back in 1990 when Apple came out, or a couple of years after they came out. I used to use that a lot, set it up for press and all that kind of thing with your all your indications on it and all that. And we always used to say, wouldn't it be great to have one program that you could edit a photograph in, and not have to keep importing and switching to Photoshop?
Yeah.
And then InDesign came along, and you can just about do that with that.
Yep.
And now this thing's come along, and it's really cheap. Like I said, it's £50, $55 forever.
Yeah.
And
Affinity works great.
Yeah, this publisher for me, because I do Comics Unlimited on it, and I design my books on it.
Yeah.
I can do the whole thing.
So
But I think
here's
my
something that's
experience,
interesting.
my experience is coming in handy for me.
It really, yeah.
Because I started at the beginning, as it were, and that's why. I mean, I've said this before on other shows. I'm not resistant to computer artwork, but I like drawing with a pencil.
Yeah, it's fun.
I've
Oh,
done
I get it. It's fun.
I used one of the first, not the first in the world, but when it first came out, the Wacom back in 1995.
Oh, wow, yeah. That's been
I
a
did
while.
artwork on that. Now, I'm sure it's far superior now,
Yeah.
but I just like using pencil. When I was doing photography shoots for things, I used to, one of my requirements occasionally, I would do roughs for the shoot before we went, and I would always take a pad and draw something while I was there as an idea for the photographer to set up. And I liked drawing. I thought it was great.
Yeah.
But
These tools work great.
I couldn't take my computer with me to do that.
Right. Well,
I
now
just
with
took a
laptops
pencil.
you can, yeah. But now with laptops you can do all that stuff, or if it's on a tablet, you can do it on a tablet. There's a lot of different tools that you can use now. I seem to always go back to the pencil, but Marv says something. You can also see your comic in 3D on Clip Studio. Yes, you can. But another thing is, one of the things I see a lot of people using are these little mannequins, and sometimes they'll take pictures of them and import the pictures, or they'll use like I use a thing called Pose on my phone for 3D models, so that I can set up, the right perspective on the character and figure out like what the pose will look like. So it's just like using a little mannequin, but it's just digital. Now, here's what's cool about this. One of the things that I always tell these new artists when they're doing sequentials is that there's 2 or 3 things that it doesn't matter what style you're drawing in, that if you don't get these, your artwork is going to look unprofessional. If you get them, it's going to look professional no matter what your style is. The first one is perspective. And I think, Randy, Glenn, do you agree with me?
Yes.
I'm going to say these, and you tell me whether you agree or not. One of them is perspective. Number one, you have to draw the characters in the background in perspective.
Yep.
The other one is kind of the what I call contrast, or the hierarchy of the page. Like, you want to make sure that your backgrounds and your foregrounds have distance, and they seem, that what needs to be in focus is in focus, and what doesn't need to be in focus.
Isn't it? A comic
Right.
book, it's all in focus.
It's all in focus, but there's a way around that. Like, so my most detailed things are up front, and then it's a little less detailed, and then all the way at the back, hardly any detail at all. Like what a camera would pick up. So that's the other thing that I pull up. But the number one thing that I find is perspective, and then kind of that hierarchy of the flow of the page, is that there's a dynamics in your drawing, the way you set up your camera angles and stuff like that, which still falls into perspective. So here's the deal. The other cool thing about Clip Studio, the reason why I'm not sponsored by Clip Studio, but I'm showing you these tools because one program can save you money on all these other programs. So I've got pulled up over here to the side 3D models, and I can choose different body types. Okay, so I'm gonna go here and I'm just gonna do, let's do this female figure. I'm gonna drop it on the page, and here's a female figure. Now I can go in here and I can adjust her parameters, her height and weight and things like that. So let's make her shorter. Let's just make her a bit shorter. So she's like a kid. I'm gonna instead of use that, I'm gonna actually use my tablet. So her height, let me pull this down. Head to body ratio. So you can give her like a big old head, look at that. Or you can give, a decent sized head or whatever. Let's make her just a little bit taller. And then you've got full body. You can move around and really make this person look however you would. There you go.
Is that one of those bots?
Yeah, that's one of those bots. So you can kind of do just about everything you want with this. So let's do a superhero body type. That's about a superhero body type, I think. And then you can go in and adjust the pose. So then they've got preset poses in there if you want, or you can just go in and just adjust your, like the head, where the head's looking and things like that. And so you can set up your poses, and sometimes it can take some time, but with some of the pre-made poses, it works out pretty good. So if I go to pose, entire body, let's say I want her to be, let's do this right here. There we go. So now I've got this pose that I can then zoom around. And it's in perspective. Here's the other cool thing about it. It keeps everything in perspectives. I don't use this often, so I'm still learning some of the tools because I just found out about it. But yeah, you've got the ability to move your camera around, change your light sources and everything like that.
Looks like a curve in drawing, doesn't it?
Yeah. So you can do that, and then heaven forbid you trace all the time, but you can essentially just
So
blue
you're not
line this
drawing.
thing.
You're not drawing then, are you? You're just copying it. It's doing all the work for you.
It can, yes, it can do all the work for you, or you do something like. But here's the cool part: it puts everything in perspective. So then you can when you create a rule, it puts everything into perspective to it. Now, obviously, I'm not going to draw that exactly, but it gives me some idea about where everything should be. So you color that.
Everything rides on how you use the tool.
Yeah, how you use the tool.
Yeah.
And you have to be really careful with the modelers like this that you don't become too stagnant and too posed.
Right. Yeah. So I'm kind of in this mindset here. Like let me see. I want to change that size.
So you have to know your body language. You have to know, what looks more natural than what looks, posed.
Can you put her arm up in the air like that?
Yeah, I can do anything I want.
Right.
You want me to put her arm in the air for you?
Yeah, I just want to. I don't disbelieve you. I just want to see it. Oh, I see.
So,
Yeah, got you. Yeah, got you.
Yeah. So I can move these things around a little bit, and you can control each one so that it looks more natural. That way, it doesn't.
Yes, I've got you. Yeah.
So we're gonna.
Yeah.
So
now, is this a program that's only available for Clip Studio or what?
This is Clip Studio.
It's
built into Clip Studio. So we're going to go back to this.
Is that on the Pro version or what?
Yeah, this is the EX. It's Clip Studio EX.
I bought one of those a couple years ago, and I've opened it twice. So
I think I bought the Pro version. So
I need to snoop around and see what I've got and what I don't have in Clip Studio. That's a pretty good tool, considering.
Yeah. So, obviously I want to draw my figure a little different than this. I'm going to, but it gives me, I now can pose reference. If you're not drawing with reference, let me just say, if you're not drawing with reference, you're killing yourselves. All the greats use reference. And then even if you're not using reference, you're doing it from your imagination, guess what? You're still drawing from reference. You've just created a Rolodex in your head of references.
Yeah.
So then I know that I actually want that to go up a little bit more. So then and you just start building out from there. So I just do my rough sketches based on my perspectives, and I've kind of built my...
I have a good question while you're in Flip Studio. What are your favorite brushes in Flip Studio? Brushes and things.
You know what? Just the standard brushes. I don't get to... I've bought a few brushes, and I've made a couple. The thing that I do a lot is for lettering. When I'm going in and when I'm lettering, like right now I'm lettering this page, I've got... I love the ability to be able to letter in this program too, because that's what I did. I never went into Illustrator because I worked in Photoshop for everything. I wanted to stay in Photoshop for lettering, so Clip Studio has all those tools built in for you. I have pre-made, preset things, like I have a lettering balloon that creates a lettering balloon, and I have a narration box that I have set up that is my default, and then I've got Body Bag has his own. The way he talks, there's I have a bubble, a thing that I can draw his bubbles, because he has this weird way he talks. So it's...
When you do lettering, you're still using the typed font face, right? You're not.
Yeah, okay, so I've got a font. I've got several fonts chosen over here that I've created. I've got Hybrids Text, so I can do text, font. Alright, and so the cool thing about this is, let me just zoom in so you can see this. So that obviously that bubble's the wrong size, right? So I just go here and I just fix the bubble to be the right size. And now it's there. Same way with this. So if I want to come in here and I want to do I want to type in this one, I'll just do test font. And then hit that and then grab it, and so the lettering tools are so easy. Oh, it's not attached. Sometimes it doesn't attach because I made a mistake.
Happens.
There we go. You can see it creates this weird box, and then it actually locks all those on the same layer. So the bubbles and the boxes and the text are all on the same layer. It does slow it down once you get like 2 whole pages done. It does start to slow it down a little bit, but it's worth it. It's worth it. And so I'll go in here and select this box, and then I'll just test font, and then I'll go in and fix this. Oh, shift. And yeah, just simple stuff. And you see I kind of messed up there a little bit on that. So I just pulled that. You can pull in all of the anchor points and choose your whole bubble. And I can move it around so it looks like Trashman is saying test font. So Trashman is saying test font now. But the other thing is I do...
in Body Bag's voice.
In Body Bag's voice. Yeah, he's making fun of him. But every time Trashman says his catchphrase is... it's time to take out the trash, right? And then whenever we do that, it uses this font. So it's always, whenever he says it, it's always in this font. I'll just make it bigger. So it's always, so you can see it all, outline it and give it a color. Oops, my bad. Undo. There's that one. Outline font. There we go. So it's always the same font. And so I don't have to go hunting it down. I just have presets set up so I can letter a lot quicker. And then whenever I'm doing a location, I've started doing locations like this, where I'll type it out. And I so let's say we're in Jacksonville, Florida, USA. And so it's always in the same font. But then I have a process. I haven't figured out how to like automate this process yet. I know there's a way to, because Photoshop had it. It's like running a script, but I'm not certain on how to do that yet. So I'm working on it. Where I choose the same colors. It's every time the same colors, and then I duplicate that layer, and that way I can take this one down here and make it all black, and then I just move it down and over a couple to give it a nice little outline. And so everything is automated, not quite automated, but everything's in the same, like, it just makes it, all the tools are there and it makes it fast. So all my brushes that I use are in the same spot. Everything else that I use is in the same spot. So now I just need to delete all of that because I actually do have to letter this page today.
Just don't save it.
Well, I'll just
It
get rid of all that.
autosaves.
No, it doesn't autosave. Well, it kind of does, but it doesn't. So yeah, but this is what
you
master
could-
page.
Or you could practice your hand lettering and do it that way.
I could, yeah. Let's look. So hand lettering. Let's talk about that. That's a tool that we might need. So
you
let's.
need-
I'm
what
gonna
you
get
need-
rid of this. I'm gonna. Okay, how do I get rid of it? Remove. All right.
you
What
need-
would I need
what
to
you
hand
need
letter?
is you need one of those, an Ames
Let's-
guide.
Let me get you up here.
You twist this wheel, you get your size of your line, you put it directly on the board, and then you get your pen and you letter it.
Very cool. See, I've always done digital lettering. I tried hand lettering for a while, and I had some of those tools where had like the alphabet spelled out for you.
Yeah, I've said
So
it
you could
before.
trace it.
When you go into the
Good morning,
60s
Sean.
and 70s comics with the hand lettering like Artie Simek, it's more organic because if you get the excuse me, any one of the word balloons, the A's will be different because it's all hand lettered, and that's what I like. I don't like the precision of a computer lettering. So you just learn.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Now me, I do like. So I go in and I adjust how far apart the letters are, how it how close up and down they are.
Kerning.
Yeah, I adjust all of those aspects of lettering so that it's uniquely me, and I like to use a certain font for my hybrids books,
Yep.
and I tend to use that font for about everything because it's so good. But I have thousands of fonts, and so really we can, when it comes time to letter other people's books.
Well,
But it's just it's so fast. It's hard not to.
a friend, I just like doing it. A friend of mine designed me the Hatch logo. So what he sent it to me. He makes fonts, and he sent me the fonts. So what I did was I actually traced it, his logo, as it were.
Yeah.
And I use the tracing now, and I lay it down in pencil on the board. So I
it's there.
I don't do that every time. It's the tracing of it, if you understand what I mean.
Yeah, yeah.
And then I ink it in. So
That's
so it's
cool.
never the same.
So you're still copy and pasting. It's like
Well,
Technically.
Wally
Very
Wood. What his
technically.
name?
yeah, but it's part of the artwork.
Yeah. Yeah.
You get this.
Part of
and
the
you get-
original. Yeah.
You
Yeah.
get that on it, and I like doing it. I like lettering. I like doing all the things. Like I said before, I
Owen
like the
says that-
I like the different disciplines of things. I like to learn. I like to research. I like to implement, and that's what I try and do. It doesn't work every time, but like I said, I've been doing this 40 years now, so I've got that practice in. And
Odin is a tremendous
quite pleased
artist.
with it,
Odin is a tremendous artist, and a lot of times people can use these tools. Now I'm saying that Glenn and Randy and I and Nick, we're telling you tools that are useful, okay, in whatever medium you decide. But at the end of the day, however you decide to do art, that's what's most important, is that you're doing art and you're enjoying it and you're having fun with it.
There's no right or wrong answer here.
No.
There
Now,
is no.
I do want to broach something because I'm the guy that people come to who are new. It's just something that happens. They feel safe talking to me, probably because I'm not as accomplished as the other gentlemen on here. So there is no one sees, oh, that's Nick Tucker. Oh, there's never going to be really a fan about me. So people, okay, how do I get started? And it's funny because Luke's talking about Get Started, and the equipment he was using is like 2 or 3 or 4 tiers from where I consider getting started.
Yeah.
Because by then he's already decided, he knows he needs Bristol board, he knows he needs, what he wants, he's already got the background. When you're coming from the ground up, so I kind of want to talk about that.
Pencil and paper, man.
Some of the tools have shifted a bit, and a lot of it, you look at something like Paint Studio, Clip Studio Paint, that is where you want to go. I mean, I'm not going to argue with it. I bought it. But sometimes you need some training wheels to get from traditional to digital art, and that can be very intimidating. Yeah. So I've got a couple things I want to talk about, because I recently
let's get to this question real quick. We've got a question in the chat. Glenn, what size do you set your aims for?
I'm not really sure what the size is, but that's set to it, so I don't know whether. And you would use.
It's the numbers along the bottom and the and on the wheel. How it's set. Show that. Hold it up again.
See that?
I can read it.
See that? Is that the right way around?
Yeah, it's probably right between a 3 and a 4, if I'm not mistaken.
3 and a 4. Yeah, it's. Let me just see now. It is.
Because Odin does traditional hand lettering as well.
It is, yeah. It's between.
I think he's trying
2
anyway.
and a 4.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it depends what size your lettering's going to be, doesn't it?
That's true.
Well,
when you're working on 11 by or 10 by 15 or 11 by 16,
well, okay,
that's usually the right size for the aims.
About a 3.
Let me just lay this on.
Between a 3 and a 4, right between.
Yeah, you might not be able to see exactly there, but you might get the idea if you can. Where is it?
I got you.
Just a minute. Let me just put this next to it so you can see. Can you see that? Can you see where it is? Can you see that?
And you see the darker holes on the guide there. Those are the holes that Glenn uses to swipe across. Yeah.
You can see the pencil in them. Yeah.
It's like every other one. They're connected by a little rounded line.
Yeah. And this thing just obviously just twists.
Yeah.
And you get your sizes all down the side. Just work it out. It's really nice.
That is the Ames lettering tool is something I would love to see one of you guys who use it regularly. It probably wouldn't have to be long, but do a dedicated video, please.
Yeah, a little
showing the use
10-minute video because, showing us how to use it.
Mm-hmm. I look at art the way I look at like my survival skills, my bushcraft stuff. I carry a lighter everywhere I go. Right? It's just I carry a lighter, I carry a flashlight, I carry a knife. It's kind of ingrained into me. But I know how to make a fire from how you rub sticks together or use a bow drill or something else. Because even if the tool the fancy tool goes away, I have other means of doing it. I mean, I know some people who've never struck a match in their life.
Yeah.
So I look at the traditional and the digital. There are all a lot of different ways to do the same thing.
With the aim,
one you understand the others better.
With the aims guide, I don't use this T square, but I've got a square on my drawing board. It's the same thing,
right?
What you would do is put that on the T square, or you parallel. You put your pencil in the whole way you do it, and you just drag it along like that.
Yeah,
it just moves itself, and you just create your line, and then you go underneath it. But you need to learn about leading as well with typesetting, because if you look at this, the leading is the space between the lines, and leading is determined by the bottom of the line to the bottom of the next line, right? So you get the. I mean, you can see the lines. Whereas you can see the lines still there on there. You see it?
Yeah.
And that's what you do. But another thing, what I do as well is, I would work out where the lettering was going to go as well. You need to do it in pencil first, and then go over it in your ink, because you don't want to spell something wrong and then miss a word out and all that kind of thing.
Cast, welcome.
So what I do is I draw the lines on the I do the art and then do the lines, and then I get the script and I work it out where I want it to fall, pencil it in, make sure it's all spelt right, go back to it the next day. Don't do it straight away because you'll make the same mistake, and then go over it with the, and then work out which your bold stuff's going to be, your emphasis is going to be, if you want to do that, and then do it that way. That's what I do. It's not easy, and it's time consuming, but like I say, I enjoy doing it. I enjoy the different disciplines of things.
And by talking about it, you're keeping that from becoming a lost art.
Well, I think you're seeing a good return to physical artwork, because a lot of these artists are figuring out that if you don't have that physical piece, you can't resell it at a show as an original piece.
Yeah.
You can run it off as a print, but it's just not the same. There's a lot of artists that it had been going digital, like Odin mentioned in the chat. He's been Clip Studio for years. He stopped about 3 years ago and started going totally physical.
I'm getting to the point to where I'm going to start laying out my covers and then printing them off and doing them in traditional pencil, and then having them scanned so I can go in and ink them.
What Russ Leach does is he goes through and does everything, the layout and the pencil stages digitally. Then he prints them out and inks them physically.
Yeah.
In order to get that final finished look. But he's after a Bronze Age, feel like
right. Yeah.
Gil Kane or Jim Starlin. That's really what he's intending to do with his Only Death Can Save Us book.
Okay. So Nick, back to your question. You go ahead and ask your question. I'm going to go off camera because I have another tool that's behind me that I need to grab for you guys to see. Okay.
Well, I had some questions, but what I wanted to get back to what I was saying was, for the people who are coming into especially digital, I don't know about you, but if you think about the first time you looked at the Photoshop screen, anybody who's used Photoshop or anything of it, that it gives you all these tools. And it's sort of like this. I got this on Amazon, and it's a really great set. It was on clearance. And it's got, all my hard pencils. I mean, it just came in. All my markers and watercolor pencils. I found it on sale. I got it actually for my nephew. I got one for my nephew because I'm like, that is exactly the set I would have wanted, so that you could try everything at his stage. And my wife goes, well, how much is it? I'm like, well, it's regularly $40. I got for $10. And you ordered yourself one, right? Well, no. And then she de-nozoed me, and said, order it. So, I ordered it. But
yeah,
when I'm working traditional, I'm trying to get in shape and stuff. I found I like to pare down to a travel kit. Like if I'm going somewhere, what do I bring with me to practice? Because the thing that you need the most is time behind the pen. Nothing makes you better than time behind the pen. That's where you learn things. You study other people, but you have to apply it.
Yeah. Well, I think one of the big problems that I see people, and we've talked about this a few times, Nick. People say practice makes perfect. No, practice makes consistent. If you're going to get better, you have to look at other people's work. You have to compare yourself to other artists.
Oh yeah. Because
you have to say, okay, well, where am I at in terms of this? But you have to have education. You have to educate yourself.
And it's not even that. You're never going to be perfect.
No.
If you're striving for perfection, you're never going to get there.
Let me show you two tools that I find very helpful. Now, here's the deal. Sequential storytelling is a big deal to me. Yes. I take the art very seriously. Zim has inspired me to do that. A lot of people aspire to be cover artists, pinup artists, things like that. I aspire to be a very good sequential storyteller. And so, guess what I got?
Oh, there you go.
I got books.
Yeah.
that explain to me the principles that I need to do it better.
Right.
These tools right here are just as important as anything that I would put my hand to.
Well, that's the input. You have an input and output side.
Yeah.
You have to process stuff from. So yeah, you want stuff. You got to study. You find somebody whose art you like. You get a hold of it. I recently got myself this. This is the Battle Chasers Anthology.
Oh, cool.
By Joe Mads. Because I realized where my art was going and where I wanted it to go. So you look at somebody who's in that neighborhood, him, J. Scott Campbell, these are the guys whose art I really like. So you get their books, and you have to step out of this is a fun comic book, and start going, why do you like this?
Mm-hmm.
Find the shape geometry the shape library that they use.
The style of proportion. Because for one thing, I despise, and it's gotten to the point where it almost physically hurts, the artists who draw superheroes, and they use superhero proportions, but they use superhero proportions for everybody, so nobody looks super heroic.
Yeah.
I mean,
Rando at the store is built like Chris Evans.
When the Waitress and Wonder Woman are standing side by side, and they have almost exactly the same measurements.
Yeah.
You know? And that really grates me. So I like the guys who have very diverse face shapes, very, very, very shapy, layered images. And I like that. But for traditional, it's like, get yourself one of these little, I think that they're 8 by 8, they're 5 by 5 by 8.5, because they're half a page. And you get one of these, and you draw on it, and you draw what you want to see, and then you get better. I like these because they have heavier weight, and I'm always one page down because I keep one under for my inks to keep the bleed through.
I love this show that we're talking about these tools and stuff, and I think anybody that has found this show today, if you're an artist or wanting to be an artist or a creative person, I think you're
this is my travel kit.
Spot.
I love my travel kit because if I lose it, I'm out a few bucks. But it has everything I need to do the basic black and white stuff. And I got this at Amazon. One thing, don't buy pink erasers. If you are starting out as an artist, when somebody hands you a pink eraser, you throw that as hard as you can.
Look at Randy's smile. He's like, Randy and Glenn both have that same smile.
Out of here. Get that pink eraser junk out of here. You want one? I love these. They used to only be called magic rubs. It was the only way I could find them, and people laughed at me because my eraser was out.
That's what she said.
Stadler sells them in 4-packs at Staples. You can find them.
You go on
those
Amazon,
you can find anywhere anymore.
Mr. Penn will sell you like 16 of them for I want to say $5 or $7.
But you have to watch the pink erasers because sometimes some of the manufacturers are stiffer than others. You want a looser, more rubbery pink eraser.
That's why I don't trust them. I throw them right out. Now, if you're going to experiment with inking at all,
yes, Marv, the Clip Studio is money well spent. If you're if you're going to buy something,
if you're patient, you can find it on sale as well.
Oh yeah,
yes.
You don't need a fancy pencil for just getting into it. I like the disposable 0.7s. 0.5 is good, but breaks a bit. 1.0 in mechanical pencil is great, but it's hard to find the lead for.
Yeah, I use a stubby. It's called the Sumo or something like that because I needed something a little bigger because I was getting hand pain.
Oh yeah.
But
I'm really going to show my age now. Really going to show my age because Randy will know this.
I can feel it coming.
This is a pencil.
Yes.
Right.
That's a pencil.
Right. And this is what I sharpen it with.
There you go.
There you go. Oh yeah, I had one of those in art class.
The last time I used a pencil sharpener, I think I was 14, which is quite a while ago. And this has been used because
you get too much waste.
No,
you get too much waste with a pencil sharpener.
Oh yeah. And you get the same edge. You get a dull edge. This gives you a point. This gives you this gives you a point.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Okay, y'all.
If you get the right pencil sharpener, you can get a nice point to it. I have an electric pencil sharpener that I love, but I also use the standard yellow school pencil.
Number two, just a regular number 2
to draw with the ones with the eraser at the end of it. Yeah.
Well, here's the thing, Jack Kirby. We talk about Jack Kirby all the time.
I'm going to show my Americanness. That's
your pencil sharpener.
That's not a knife.
I'm not kidding. This is an Ontario Air Force Edition mini K-bar. I want you to see. Do you see the lines?
Yeah, but that's over the top.
The graphite of my pencil.
With that.
This literally all through college was my pencil sharpener because people will mess with an artist who's working.
And you wonder why the police always used to wait for you outside the school.
There you go.
So I do have to say this. All my traditional tools are way far behind me.
But seriously, spending
I've got
a little
pencils.
money on an electronic sharpener,
Yeah.
you have to spend a little money to get the higher grade ones. You spend that extra money because it's worth it.
Yeah.
And
Now
you can get right down to a point where you could poke yourself and bleed.
There is a really great tool that I used to have, and it was stolen, and I need to get another one. And that is an electric eraser. Yeah.
What?
That's all pencil sharpener.
What is wrong with everybody these days?
No, let me explain what was cool about it. It's a Japanese. They developed them for manga, and all it does is it has about a half-size eraser head that spins, and it's really cool. It's dorky, but it's cool. But you could get right into the tiny places.
That's what she said.
Since we started this show, I've spent about 20 pence on this pencil, and you lot have spent about $6,000 on.
Oh no!
On bloody screens and pens and sharpeners and all this kind of stuff.
No! My whole travel kit is less than $5 in application.
It's brilliant.
You want to talk? I spent most of the show doing this.
Well, you should have been paying attention. You shouldn't be
I
doing
was
that.
paying attention. I can
One
hold on
moment.
that.
I'm gonna go off camera for a second. You guys keep it up. I got
best
something to show
art.
you guys.
Oh boy, more tools to show off. Here we go.
But no,
Here's another tool you need. It's called a ruler. It's called a ruler. You can do all your perspective working out with that if you need to do it.
You guys just got a new ruler over there.
But your best tool. We got it. It's not as good as the old one.
No.
He's only been
Please
there
put
3
your
days.
ears-
A ruler. I bought this ruler in 1980. All my stuff's really old because if you look after it, it'll look after you.
I had mine given to me I had 3 of them all at once given to me by a manufacturer back in the 80s as well. I still have them.
No,
Yeah, you gotta have a
Right there.
you gotta have a straight edge. You gotta have a straight edge.
Yeah.
If you're not drawing with a ruler, you're messing about.
Peregrine Bay. They used to make great shirts. They're no
yeah.
longer even in business, as far as I know. But I got a bunch of rulers from them that are just fantastic. Use them all the
All
time.
right, so
You know,
we were talking about pencils. This is what I use. This pencil was a couple of bucks, but it's called the Sumo Grip because it's fat. Because I needed something that I could actually draw with because I didn't have such a good grip when I first woke up.
Yeah.
So I used this and I was
Here.
getting pain in my hands
Yeah.
from trying to grip it. So I got this so that I can draw, and it's nice and fat. It's very similar to the same width as my stylus.
Yeah, they gave me a pencil with a spongy tubing on it
Yep.
so that I could grip it because my hand strength was nothing.
This is a 0.9. So I use a 0.9 and I use a real soft lead. So I like that. Now I've got, now I used to do, what you guys don't know about me, comic book art is not all I've ever done. I actually used to do portraits and realism. Not my favorite thing to do, but I did it nonetheless. And I have this set of pencils that might blow your mind. I don't know if you, tell me if you've ever seen any of these. These are full graphite pencils.
oh yeah.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
I love
Those,
these.
yeah.
These are
Yeah.
these are some of my favorite pencils. I got
Yeah.
them in different thickness and different.
You take that
hardnesses.
on the side, and you can get some great tones with it.
Just one. If I'm
You
doing
get
a
to know what
pencil
you're
sketch
doing.
of something,
Heck
if
yeah.
it's going to be strictly in pencil, these are my go-to. I don't
I hear
keep.
you.
I don't do anything. I go straight for these guys.
Absolutely.
Those things are great. These were expensive, but guess what? I've had them for about 20 years. Yeah, I've had them for 20 years, and so I'll never have to replace those.
I love sketching with carpenter's pencils. Am I the only one who does that sometimes? Where when you're doing fast
I do.
sketches, and you
Okay.
get because you can really shape how you want to approach it on. And again, I used to have a whole set of those, and people,
As far as inkers go, okay,
yeah,
there's a couple things. So there are standard. I got this set on Amazon. It wasn't very expensive, but it's a Panda Fly, and it's a set of 13 different sizes for inkers. Now I really like the brush in there, right? So what I did is I decided I wanted to try to use brushes more, and so I wound up buying these Pigma. This set of Pigma. There's 2 of each in there. There's a fine, a medium, and a large brush, and this is what I primarily do all my traditional inking with. is the brushes, unless I need more of a sketch look, and then I'll use one of the smaller sizes in this that are just kind of regular. But here's another tool. I don't know if you guys do this or not, but I don't like to color my traditional stuff so much, because color takes longer and it's and all that kind of stuff. But if I'm doing something quick, I always like to give a little bit of a gray wash to it. And so there's these Master's Touch. These things are $30 for this set of 6, which is kind of expensive. But it's different gray tones, you can see. And I'll use that to make the artwork pop. That's traditional, like a sketch cover or something. All of this, I think this was 15, that's 30. This was, we're looking at maybe $50. And this was, when am I going to replace these? When I wear them out?
Bic makes a wonderful, for a beginner set, they're called Bic Impact. Intensity, I'm sorry. Because they changed their name. They used to be Markets. And the thing about the Bics over Sharpies, or even a lot of the Copics, is you can actually get your gray shading just like you would if you used a multiply layer and a light gray with them, and they're only like $13 at Walmart. If they would sell me a box of the Cloud Grays out of that, I would use those. They're amazing. This is my almost perfect Sharpie kit, because Sharpie has a roller ball that's 0.5. That is an amazing, finer line inker. The Sharpie gel pens this is my 1.0. This is amazing. Your basic Sharpie. And then I'm addicted to flare pens. I've been addicted to flare pens for inking. If flare would just go permanent, I would probably never need another inking pen except for, like heavy black work with like a Sharpie. But
again, it's not the tools, it's the artist.
Right. Another tool you might want to get.
A French curve.
That looks cool.
Those
French
are
curves.
amazing.
But
French curves.
These are incredible, but they're obviously very rigid because these are plastic. But what you really need is a Flexi Curve.
Oh, yes.
That's what you need.
Cool.
I got mine back there somewhere. I haven't used one in a long time. Yeah.
This is broken. I need a new one. But these are amazing. Just to finish up. But if you're doing a curve that you need to be really sharp on, and you're using one of these, there's always a point where it doesn't quite work. So you get your Flexi Curve out. Randy knows about these.
Oh yeah.
Absolutely.
I didn't even know those. I'll be honest with you. I didn't know those existed.
Oh yeah.
They're brilliant.
Guess what I'm ordering on Amazon today.
Like I said,
that's going to make sketch covers so much easier.
This is broken, but you can still
you wear the wire.
Yeah, you can bend that all over the place.
Yeah,
good one.
And
it goes just back. Like the little toy figures that are rubber with the wire in the middle. They're just squared up.
Yeah,
they're great things.
I used to have mine up there. I don't see it now.
Justin, when it comes to the blue or red pencils, you go to the drafting section. It's not going to be in the art section.
Yeah.
It's going to be with the architectural tools.
That's where you're going to find. We're talking about are in the drafting section.
Yeah, a lot of them.
That's where a lot of my stuff started, was mechanical drafting.
You want to make sure that it's a. Yeah, sorry, Nick. Didn't mean to step on you there.
It's okay. If you want to get better with perspective, and you want to get better with your backgrounds, just look up anything on basic mechanical drafting. I'm serious. Yep. That the art side covers it, but that makes
honestly a thumbtack and a string
will do
wonders for your perspective lines.
I find that with perspective, if you do it what you might call freehand and not use a ruler, and say you're drawing a row of buildings and you just draw them in, and you don't get your vanishing points and all that kind of thing, and your straight lines just to start with. If you just draw it as you see it, if it looks right, it probably will be right.
Yes.
Do you understand what I mean? Well, you don't want to draw buildings so precise. Always bend that line just a little and make it wrong to make it look right. Do you understand what I mean?
Well, that's what they did. Yeah,
because only God gets perspective perfectly.
What is it? The Acropolis. The columns are actually very funny shaped, so that they look straight from the bottom.
Yeah.
Right.
The Romans actually engineered the angles to swell out and do different things, so that it looks perfect, but if it was perfect, it wouldn't look.
It wouldn't look perfect.
Right.
Yeah. There is a bit of that in all of your art. And Marv makes a good point. After doing a comic traditionally, that you always need to end with some kind of a digital tool. And that is usually clean up line work, your colors, whatever it is. You're going to do some color correction for printing.
No, that's not right. That's not right, because he's coming from a point of view that you could always work in digital. What about 20, 30 years ago? We didn't have these computers to do this.
Well, yeah, that's true. But your print quality and stuff has gotten better over the years too. So it's the computer definitely helps you with that.
Then 50, 40 years ago, we had like Zipatone.
Yeah, blue tea.
That we could sit there and play around with. Yeah,
and spray mount and cow gum and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, all that fun stuff.
All that good stuff. But you see, you can laugh. But Randy and I have got the experience of this that we can put into this what we do now.
Yeah.
You don't have. You guys. I
didn't get to experience Zipatone. I've heard about it. I've watched videos on it. I never had to work with Zipatone.
You get that little callus right there. right there on your finger. If you ink a couple hundred or a couple thousand pages, that callus just grows. I got a little rivet right there.
I used to have it right here.
That pen sits.
You're a lefty, right? You're a lefty, right?
When you start
I'm a righty. I got it on my right finger.
When you do your inking with the brush, you know you've got there when it breaks.
Yeah.
But you still but you still use it.
Yep.
You don't buy a new one. You fix it.
Oh,
because it's your favorite brush, you know.
Yes.
Run out to Michael's and buy a good old Windsor number 2, which is pretty inexpensive, $3-4 anymore. I don't know. I haven't priced them in years, but you're able to take them and roll them down to a point, and then just use them however you need. Yeah.
Oh,
until they won't roll down to a point anymore.
Plus, when Randy will know this as well. When you inking traditionally, you do this all the time.
Yes, you do.
Oh, yeah.
You can't do that on a computer, can you?
No.
I don't need to. Well, I'm not going to lie.
You keep a cup of water next to you to clean those brushes out. And once, usually maybe twice, 3 times a year, you accidentally mix that up with your actual drinking cup.
Oh, God, yeah.
And you have to spit it out, especially when you're pushing on a deadline.
This is why artists have poisoned.
See, Glenn's laughing because he knows. He's done that before.
I used to have a big mug that said, "Not my mixing."
There you go. You always keep those cups separate so that when you go to absent-mindedly reach for it to take a drink, you go, "Oh no, not that cup. This cup."
Funky bottle.
I got a few of these.
But I've painted.
Oh, those are nice.
I've painted landscapes and stuff like that, so I know where you're at. I may not have inked traditionally, but I have used pen and ink for artwork and stuff. Yeah. Now, here's what I think is interesting.
Yeah,
I knew an inker. This was back at the start of my independent comics days, who would go around and talk to everybody feverishly, and the first thing he'd ask people is, "What color ink do you use?"
What do you mean? Black?
Exactly. No, and he'd always ask because everybody always had a different answer.
Oh, okay.
Really?
Oh,
For the longest time, I used to keep a concoction of a mixture of inks, whatever I could find. Pelican looks different than Windsor. Windsor calligraphy ink looks different than Windsor black ink, especially once you run an eraser across it.
Yeah.
Because sometimes it'll pick up a lot of that, a bit of that ink along with it. So I had a wild Frankenstein concoction of rapidograph ink, Pelican ink, and Windsor ink all the time.
Right. I was always told India ink,
and just always mixing and applying, and yeah, everything's trial and error.
You know how hard it is to find India ink in central Indiana?
Incredibly hard.
Well, that's because you should be looking for Indiana ink. The only problem is it only comes in corn yellow.
You got to get Windsor Newton black ink now, and anymore they sell them in. They used to sell them in plastic jugs. They used to sell them in really hard glass jugs that were just great when your ex-wife was pissed at you and would lob one at your head.
Nice.
Broke a window. She broke a window there. I dodged it and went right.
So this is interesting that Odin
it's like a rock.
Went to school to get his CAD degree, but for the first semester they did all their drafting manually. Which, I mean, how cool is that? Because you have to, in order to understand the digital tools. You have to understand the physical tools.
Yes.
You do.
You have to understand.
That is gorgeous.
Yeah, that is awesome.
See, that's a
fun
tool I'm actually jealous of. I don't usually get tool envy, but that's hitting my old buttons. That's beautiful.
Yeah. Now let me show another tool. Okay, so we talked about the creating of the art. There's ways that we can get the art to people. We talked about the exportation to PDF that we can do with those different programs that we use. Affinity. If you're not using Affinity and you need that, I'm telling you, it is cheap and it is good. It is good software.
Yeah.
All of their stuff is good. They are truly an Adobe alternative that will not break the bank. But here's another piece of software that I like. So Smith Micro, you might have heard of Smith Micro. They've been around a while. They've got a lot of different things that they do. But one of the things that I really like, because they're the ones that do Clip Studio Paint. You know, they're the ones behind all of this, right? They've got this software called Motion Artist. And Motion Artist is a pretty cool bit of software that allows you to make motion comics. Basically, you can set it up in layers. Like if you're doing your Photoshop or your panels in layers, you can go in and animate those and do voiceover with your comics to tell the story. Very cool piece of software. What I use it for is for reading. Okay, I will set it up to make a video where it zooms in on the comic pages, and so it looks like you're zooming in on the comic page and going from panel to panel to read it, how it should flow. That way you can allow people to read it on like a video. You can post it.
It says there it's no longer sold or supported.
True, but there are still some places that you can download it.
Right.
There are a few places that can download it. It's like $10. I found it in one place that was $10, but I still have it on my computer. It is old, and but it is like I think they've gone to Moho or one of these other ones. I can't remember which one they've gone to, but Motion Artist. But a piece of software, and it doesn't matter because there's other pieces of software that does this, and quite honestly, Clip Studio does it too because they have an animation feature, so you can actually work in their animation and do that. But here's what's cool about it: when you're using a piece of software like that, it's one more way to get your work to the people. And the best part about making art is sharing art. Is sharing those stories. That's the best thing about it.
Luke,
yeah.
There's a vital tool you're forgetting to mention that you've led into, but you haven't mentioned yet.
Twitter?
No. I'm talking about something functional. You're talking about getting your work to people.
Yeah.
Now, if you're going to get your work to people, especially comics, your floppies and such, wouldn't it be best to use Gemini mailers?
It would be best to use
And
Gemini
I
mailers.
believe there's a code that we have.
Yeah. Nerd 10.
for-
Take 10% off your Gemini mailers by using Nerd 10. I actually just ordered a bunch and got my Gemini mailers. I ordered the big 135 batch of mailers, and I got 1,000 each bag and boards of the modern and the silver age comic book sizes. I got all of that. Okay, so 1,000, so 2,000 bags, 2,000 boards, so a bunch of stuff, and then 135 boxes. 10% saved quite a bit for me. You know.
Oh yeah.
I mean, that took a couple $100 down. From it was like going to be like almost 4 down to to 3.5 or something like that. It was pretty.
Oh
good.
yeah.
It's pretty good. Yeah, it's pretty good discount.
That is
You're roboting, buddy.
a tool.
Yeah, you're roboting pretty bad right now.
Who have a discount code.
Yeah.
Find that
24
out
Eyes
weird
uses
for a second.
Affinity as well. So here we go. We've got several people that are testing to Affinity being a good software to use for art, for coloring, for flatting, I'm telling you, for a lot of stuff, for your prepress, all that kind of stuff. It works really, really well. And it's just like anything else, you have to kind of learn the bits and pieces of that. But there is some digital tools that you'll need. There's a lot of, again, at the end of the day, just grab a pencil and a piece of paper. Jack Kirby used the number 2 pencil and he used standard like paper, like it wasn't like he wasn't using like thick Bristol board, and and he was just doing the pencils, and this got transferred. He actually used pretty thin paper because they would use light board to ink in most cases back then. They still do. I saw an artist actually at the convention, an old school artist. He had drawn something and he had his little light board there and he was inking it, but he put his pencils down and then put the paper over with the light board so that he could trace his pencils with the inks and not mess up his, not have to worry about sketch lines and stuff.
Sure. Yeah.
What you're saying there about Jack Kirby using a 2B pencil is what we said at the top of the show. Was it's about imagination.
Yeah.
You could have given Kirby a poker and he would have drawn it in the mud. He was that good, and that's imagination, and that's something you can't learn.
Yeah,
true.
And if you've got it, and here's the thing: more people have imagination than what you realize. If you can dream it, do it. Right? Don't let the tools be your hindrance. Let the tools be something that you use to create whatever it is you're going to create, but create it no matter what. If you've got the imagination, do it. If you've got an idea, if you think you've got a story that needs to be told, if you're a writer, write. There is a piece of software that I didn't mention for writers that I find pretty helpful. It is Superscript, okay? It is a piece of software that you can buy for Mac or PC, and what it is for scripting out comics. It helps you put it in a format. It kind of formats all the indent and all that kind of stuff for you, so you can just kind of go at writing. Once you get used to formatting your scripts, you don't need it anymore. I don't use it anymore. I just use Google Docs, but it was a great tool when I first started writing scripts because I needed. I didn't know the best way to indent, do page and stuff like that, and this helped break it up, and then it will output it to PDF or to Word or rich text format or whatever.
This is what Randy and I learned years ago to do with typesetting. Isn't it, Randy? All this, indentation and all this kind of thing, like I said, about the leading and the kerning and all this kind of stuff. And we've carried all this over into this. So we had to learn to do these things. And there seems to be, I'm not saying it's wrong, but you guys aren't necessarily learning this. You just got this tool to do it. Now, there's nothing wrong with that. I'm not saying that.
No, we still learn it. We still learn it.
But you're not learning it because
the tool is teaching us.
No, because you're going to use that every time, and it just does it for you.
Well, you didn't listen
to what I just said then.
Oh, sorry.
What we're looking at this is sort of how I see Paint.net, for example. Paint.net is, you can use it for free. You can buy it for as offline for like $8, and it's basically Microsoft Paint but with layers and rudimentary functions. What those are training wheel tools. Mm-hmm. And you use them to learn your balance, and that's how you develop to where if you're doing it right, you don't need it. There's also no shame in keeping the training wheel tools. It's like the perspective. Glenn, you can draw perspective right because you've been doing it for 40 years. I mean, you're
because you can see it. Yeah, you see it.
When you've been doing mechanical drafting long enough, I have known people who could sit and do their 45s and their 45s, 30s, and 90s. They didn't need a triangle for.
Yeah.
And you check them, and they were precise every time because they've done it so much. They reached the consistency. Yeah. Their hand knew what it looked like. That takes wisdom, and it takes experience, and it takes time. So it's that balance, because it's like the poser before, when he was talking about using the poser, and he showed that. A lot of us don't necessarily need that if you know the anatomy well enough to do it. But if you don't, the tool's there. Now, some people will lean into that, and that's what I consider the slippery slope to AI, where we as a culture are getting to the point where, but it's so much easier. I can just type in castle in the fog, whatever, and you'll get a picture of a castle in the fog that's been trained.
I would use my imagination for that.
Well, exactly. But that's why I think it's important to maintain the skills you have and to practice traditional, because I believe there will come a day where the AI instant generation will be so commonplace that the real prize will be stuff that can be proven that it wasn't. That will be the rarity. I think we're going to kind of go and double back. And you still see that with the problem Luke was talking about of, I love doing digital. I'm running into that too because I don't have the painter boards I need to do a project. I could do it digital, but how do I send a print to an art show? That doesn't feel right.
Yeah.
So trying to balance these issues out becomes a challenge.
Yeah,
That's
like
why,
it's like right now AI, people are doing a lot of images with AI.
right.
People are like, oh, AI is going to take over for artists. And I mean, maybe for some people, maybe it will. I don't think it ever will because AI is never going to learn that touch.
The trick is you won't be able to grab one of these from the AI. At the end of the day, it won't have the bona fide that this is just a humble practice kind of fun sketch I did. But you can look at it and you can look at this. If I ever became famous, which I won't likely, and I accept that, they could go. You can see that there's pencil marks indented in the paper. None of the you can test this is a real object.
Yeah.
The AI can't ever fully do that. And if you want to get better with the tools, you need to understand what the tools are emulating, which is why I think you need to study traditional tools, and then you need to study the new digital and find where you are on that spectrum and be comfortable. I drive Luke nuts sometimes because... Oh, no. Let me explain. I will show you how to drive Luke nuts. I have a tool right here that drove Luke nuts because I was very pleased to use it. This is a little battery-powered stylus guy, right? It doesn't. I color sometimes on my digitally on my cell phone. Use a lovely application called Infinite Painter. But Luke would see me doing this and he'd go, Nick, why? Those things suck. They're terrible. Please. And it hounded him much that he gave me the deal that I could get my lovely tablet from him. And, I start using the better tools. But still, sometimes I'll step back and I'll be like, I need to do something quick because I'm out and about and I need to do a sketch. And dang, if this thing doesn't come out of my pocket because I can do it on my phone and send it and be done with it.
Yeah.
Or, I need to do a quick, mock up how I want to color something. Take a picture, color on a layer. Done. That hybrid ability to adapt is necessary. But to have that, you need to be trained in both schools and then pick what works for you.
Blue Teddy says, like they said earlier, digital was less intimidating for learning, but as I get more confident, I pick up more and more traditional tools. They're less convenient, but they're fun, and people will always play. That's true, they will.
Primal.
I need to drop out soon, so can I just show you something here to do with perspective? With perspective, right? The place I work for, I was commissioned to draw perspective drawings of the building that the offices were in, but they only gave me the flat architect's
Welcome, Dr. Cal.
design,
Dr. Crow.
the plan, right? So I worked out that and put the people in, right? And then, rather than ink it, I decided just to use the raw pencil and color it up and color everybody in.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
Well, that was projected up from architect's flat plan. Just using a ruler,
Yeah.
and the good. I found that a really. In fact, you can see the panels on the side of the evolution of the drawing.
Yeah.
So I enjoyed doing that because it was, like I say, another discipline. It was another challenge.
Yeah.
Now I probably could have done it on a computer, but why bother? I mean, just get your pencil and your ruler and start doing it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the tool that I was mentioning earlier was Superscript.
Right.
This helps you write a comic book script. Okay.
Okay.
So what you do is it has different things in here and different. I haven't used it in a while. I'm trying to see if I can open a script that I have. Let's see if I have a recent script that it will open. No, I think I've gotten rid of all of them. Again, it's been so well. The last script I wrote on there was maybe 8th day. Maybe 8. No, none of these are. All the files are missing because they're not in the same spot anymore. But what you do is you go in and it sets up your title, your author, and every time you type in something like this, like let's just move down here, and if I just write page. Oh wait, when I write the word page, it automatically puts in the format that I need it, right?
Yep.
And then I'll write my description, and then if I write so Trashman's going to say something, and I do that, automatically indents it for me.
Right. Got
So
you.
automatically does these things, so I can just write without having to think about it, you know?
Got
And
you.
then when I'm ready to output this, it goes to format. So we can change the format, but when it goes to save, I can save it in different ways. Is it even going to save? Did it save it? I'm telling you, I haven't used this in so long. Export. I can export this in different formats as a PDF, which will have the exact same format that I did, or we can choose different ways that this will print out. Word document, plain text, or markdown. So you get whatever format it is that you want to do this in. Word document's really cool because that's what most people use. And so it puts it in this format so you can see how everything is numbered. And it gives you the number of panels, and it gives you all of that kind of stuff. Now this is just a learning tool, okay?
Yeah.
This is a learning tool. It helps you along the way, but I don't need to use this now because I just do it all in Google Drive. I don't need to, but I can type it here and then copy and paste it into Google Drive. I can do that if I need to. And it works and it helps just so that you can get creating and learn it. It is a training wheel, like Nick said, but all of these tools just lead you to become a better artist. You still have to learn perspective. You still have to learn all of those rules. You have to learn the rule of thirds if you're trying to really compose a page. You have to learn about hierarchy. You have to learn about contrast. All of these things you need to learn to make a better design. Use the golden ratio. Use the golden circles in your creation process. You got to do all these things that are traditionally done, but you can use them either traditionally or digitally, but you have to learn, and eventually you do. The thing with Clip Studio is it has perspective rules in there. Now I can use perspective rules all day, but I can use them wrong, and it's going to get me a result. It may not get me a good result. So I still have to understand perspective and understand how perspective works in order to do that. I still have to draw my characters in perspective with the background. Too many people, like this, one of my biggest pet peeves is perspectives will be off. You'll see like, okay, these buildings are supposed to be paralleled with each other, and they're not. They're rather than, you've got lines that are, this building is supposed to look like this, and you've got one that's tilted like that, or something. It's like, hey, we've got too many vanishing points going on here. You can have an infinite number of them, but there is some bit of what looks natural, what looks good, and you've kind of got to work with that. But the other thing that I can't stand is when someone's clearly drawn a character in the front, and the background was a secondary thought. They're like, oh, well, I've got to have a background in here, so let me do something. Yeah. And it's completely out of perspective, and it doesn't look like it's part of the composed image. All of the best art that I've ever seen, especially in sequential art, is when the background is in mind and there is perspective. Now, there are people that do backgrounds, period. Like, that's what they do. Like, they'll go in and they'll just draw backgrounds in comics. And those people have to, what do? They look at the character and they figure out the perspective of the character, where the horizon line is going to be, where the vanishing points are going to be.
And your foreshortening and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, they figure all of that out, and then they draw the background based on the character in front of them. Now I'm doing studies where I draw a character and then try to build a background behind them that's in the proper perspective. It is harder than it looks, but you can't get there until you've done it a lot. Like, again, I think Zen, Glenn, Nick, they've all said it. Time with the pencil in your hand. Time practicing. It doesn't, you can't get around. Even some of these tools that allow you to do it quickly cannot get around just doing it. Those years of experience, understanding typeset. At one point, I guarantee both Randy and Glenn did not know any of that stuff. They had to learn.
Oh, of course, yeah, of course.
And somebody taught them. Yeah. Somebody taught them. Now we don't have a lot of teachers these days. A lot of you watching or listening, watch this playback. Maybe you don't have a lot of teachers at your disposal, but these tools can teach you.
I'll tell you the one thing that astounded me several years ago when I worked in a place. I was working in a place freelancing, and they didn't. The people in the marketing department who were sort of 25 and who know everything, they didn't understand where the term uppercase and lowercase came from. They thought that uppercase was just capitals, but they didn't understand where that came from. And I found that I was astounded by that. That was in the days when I used to be astounded by people's comments, but now I'm ready for it now.
You kind of go with it, don't you?
But but they didn't. And I asked these guys, and they all did 4 years at university with fantastic degrees, and there was only in a 7-man marketing, there was only one person with a marketing degree, and none of them, that person hadn't spent 10 minutes in 4 years doing typesetting and brochure design, and they were telling me how to design brochures, and that's a large part of what I've done all through my life. And I found that sort of very offensive. And now, that's me being offended, and I don't really give a toss. But I just used to look at these people and think, they don't want to learn anyway. They didn't want to know. And that's a big thing.
Blue Tay's right. You've got the whole internet at your disposal now. You can find right now, you can find probably a couple hundred videos that people have made on perspective, how to use perspective, how to draw these different things, these different tools, how to use them.
Amazing.
Yes. If you want to draw comics, I know that Clayton Barton has a great set of videos on how to do that. But it all comes down to these basic pieces. Even the tutorial that Zim did on how to do cartoon hands comes down to understanding basic shapes and perspective, foreshortening, and those kind of things. You have to be able to observe. A good artist is a good observer.
Yeah.
You have to be able to look at something and see what are the pieces that make it.
Yeah,
like
a good artist will know instinctively. You won't have to watch a YouTube program.
That's not true.
So okay then. Leonardo da Vinci, how much YouTube was he watching?
He learned.
How many bodies did he watch being dissected too?
Right. He learned. He learned. We don't have to go dissect bodies now.
But he was so skilled. He had it in the back of his head.
He learned. He learned.
Yeah.
Leonardo learned. Yeah, he learned, and he was taught, and the guy taught the guy who taught him, and taught. But they weren't watching YouTube videos.
Well, because they didn't have YouTube.
No, but
of course they would have used YouTube if they had it.
Constantly trying to not get into trouble for dissecting human body.
Yeah, we did. They got sent to jail, didn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean.
Anyway, I'm going to drop out now, fellas.
Yeah. Okay. Have a good one.
Yeah, I probably should think about leaving too. I've got a little bit of work. I got to get done.
I do too.
This has been really good today.
We're going to close this thing down actually.
It's really good.
But there's a multitude of tools at your disposal. Learn, observe, find the shapes that are inside of what you're doing, and practice, and just practice, and try to,
keep digging up those bodies.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly. No, literally, that's what you got to do. And if you find your bodies are stored on YouTube to get the information, do it. If you have a qualified teacher, do it. If you can,
do it. When you're talking to somebody with a lot of experience, listen to what they have to say. Don't just dismiss it because you're 21.
Yeah.
Well, you can only say that when you get to Randy and I's age, you see.
Yeah. Well,
that's only because we were 21 too.
Exactly.
We were petulant and
just like
bullheaded and all of that.
Rob Liefeld complaining about those young artists. Guess what? He was there. He was the same way.
Yep.
And the thing is, I was the people I complain about. I was the same way. And when I get to be your age, I'll be the same way you are.
But
it's just
part of the passion.
How it is.
Part of the passion about being in this art form is that you learn.
Yeah.
You're always learning. If you want to grow in this art form, you're always
comics
learning.
Is not secondary. Here's
you're always playing with tools. You're always looking at what works better.
When I worked in graphics, when I started off in graphics, I started first job at 19, and then when I was 24, I was studio manager of 8 people. And I learned everything I could. That's why I know about typesetting and printing. But the other guys couldn't be asked. But I learned it all. And I was studio manager at 24.
Mm-hmm.
So learn, listen, learn.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Try
observe,
everything.
learn.
Try all these computer programs.
Find out what you like and work from there.
And then find out what works for you to produce your work.
Exactly. Absolutely. And use your imagination.
Yeah.
Use your imagination. And if you don't have an imagination, promote people that do. Promote people that do. Buy their stuff and help them grow. It is all a journey. It's a learning journey. These are all tools that we've experienced over the years that we think are great.
And if I don't go right now, I'm going to be on my journey to the divorce court. So I'll see you soon.
There you go. Everybody,
Thanks
check out Glenn's work.
Really
He's got
enjoyed
stuff
it.
on Amazon.
See you tomorrow. See you tomorrow morning. Yeah.
Yes.
All right.
Comics by Night.
Zim, tell them where they can find you.
See you later, guys.
Take care,
See you,
Glenn.
man.
Should have had Glenn say where they could find him.
He's on Amazon. Check him out on Amazon.
He's on Amazon. Glenn B. Fleming.
Yep.
Fleming with one M.
Two N's, one M.
2 N's, 1 M. You can find me tomorrow morning at Comics by Night over on the Indie Comics Network at 5 a.m. on Friday morning. We run live there. Glenn will be there. Maybe Russ will be there. Brian K. Morris is scheduled to be there. Oh. I think Charles Santino will also be with us. We talk about the nuts and bolts of working in sequential art. Then you can find me Sunday morning, 9 a.m., Sunday Funnies, where we talk about the comics that we love and the inspiration that we have to fuel our passions. Then Wednesday nights at 8 p.m., I do the Zimcast, where we talk more about comic news and get more opinionated, more adult, and talk about this business and whatever else happens to wander into the conversation. Other than that, I'm going to have a sign-up sheet here pretty soon, hopefully, for the book that I've been working on for a while, between all of the other commercial jobs that I've been doing, about my last year's worth of experience being down with the bug and on the respirator. Then after that, it's more Arrow comics. Lots more Arrow comics coming next year. It's going to be great.
It's going to be a big year.
Can't wait to get there. We're already real busy working towards that next year's schedule. So
it's gonna be crazy.
Catch us then.
Nick, where can they find you, buddy?
Well, first off, and most importantly, you can find me right here next Thursday morning at 9 a.m. But you can find me on the Nicholas Tucker channel, where I host Nevermind the Furthermore, where artists and authors and creatives of all sort come together to try to improve and promote and encourage each other. On Friday, you can find me not just there, but you can find me on the Historical Fencing Guild, where I will be helping people learn to sword fight and pursue other martial arts related things. This week, my viewers are going to be tormenting me with a folder full of cursed sword images just to make me hurt, to wound my soul. So at 8 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Central, you'll find me there suffering Friday night. So I think you guys will enjoy that greatly. I know my audience. Other than that, you can get my books through Amazon at amazon.com/author/Nicholas Tucker. That's my author page. It should lead you to things. I have the Simple Sword, the Fighting Axe. My copy of the Simple Spear is coming. And then the Big Stompy Robots lines of books and games are also available through there. You can get the quick play version as an app with a dice roller and a drift measure through bit.ly/JBTechApps. My partner over there, Joe Bachman.
Yeah, that's going to be an easy one for people to remember.
He's going to be doing that more, and we're hoping to eventually, by 2024, have a Big Stompy Robots actual two-dimensional video game.
Awesome.
That's
very cool. Very, very
there.
Yep. You can find me at LukeStoneStudios.com. That's Luke Stone Studios with an S on the end.com. Find all of the pertinent links over there. I've got links to the trade paperback remaster. That campaign has ended. It is funded, and those files will be going off to the printer this week. So that will be here. Hopefully in a couple of weeks we'll be able to send those out, and we'll have copies for sale on the website in a couple of weeks. We are going to be in Randy and I are going to be in Bowling Green, Kentucky on the 8th. So if you are in that area, come by and see us. I actually just got notified. Just got the email for the artist tables. So we will.
Cool.
I'll be sharing that with you here shortly.
Good to know.
But yeah, we're looking forward to that. It's gonna be a lot of fun. Tons of Arrow books are gonna be out there, and we're gonna have a lot of fun with that.
Yeah.
Again, here on this channel, be sure to like, subscribe, ring the bell so you know what's going on. Consider becoming a channel member, and we'll keep putting out content for you guys as best we can. There's a lot of stuff going on with the channel, and but more stuff going on with art, and we're having a lot of fun with that. So definitely check out LukeStoneStudios.com. Sign up for the mailing list. Here's the deal about the mailing list. You don't have time to read emails, and I don't have time to write them. So when I do write them, they're short and sweet and to the point, and they're very rare. I don't send them very often. So definitely go check that out. I would appreciate that very much. Thanks again for joining us. Thank you to the chat. You have been amazing. Hopefully, if you like the content, please leave a comment. Let people know. Send people this way so that they can check out this conversation. I feel like it was a good conversation today, guys.
It's fun.
Thanks for being here.
Yep.
I want to thank my panel. You guys are amazing for being here. Try to build more than you tear down. Too many people are ripping things apart. Build up more than you tear down. Leave the wood pile a little bit higher than you found it. Doesn't really matter how you do it. Just leave it higher. If you watched last week, you know where that's coming from.
Trucks happen. Whatever
Trucks
falls off,
happen.
falls off.
And by all means, let's be careful out there.
Let's be careful out there.
Let's be careful out there. Let's be careful out there. We had a 187 at the 7-Eleven on the corner of 4th and Main. 2 Caucasians of the male persuasion put a bullet through the cashier's brain. Moving on, I see a 211, half a dozen 459, 2 AEWs, a GTA, and several miscellaneous crimes. Homicide.